4.
Oh, 4. Okay, I was going to say, holy shit. All right, wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I hope John C. Manicus Riley is telling us the truth and that you are with us for, I see the reaction on the screen. Okay, NWA Clash of Champions numero uno. Watch along. I am here with your hosts with the most, Charles, a.k.a. Charlie Wilson, a man trying to get off the gas to slim down for the summer.
Not too much, how are you?
Along with a wrestling aficionado, you may even call him historian, with a greater knowledge than I. He reminds me of my good, longtime, close personal friend, the late Jackal, that passed away in 2017. A man you read a lot if you follow our live premieres. He's one of our moderators with the Blue Wrench, not to be confused with the WrestleMania 2 Blue Cage we were just talking about. It rhymes with treasury. We're talking about Phil DeCesare, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dan Morati, along with the one and only, a man with full-size adult teeth, John C. Manicus Riley. No one will ever say, even with his mask on, that they're the size of birdseed. Quincy's still trying to figure that one out. Tonight we are going to be going back in the time machine to NWA Clash of Champions. Again, #1, as we just noted. The event that put Sting on the map is he has a classic with the Nature Boy Ric Flair on this event, but much more interesting behind the scenes, it was the NWA's first torpedo towards the World Wrestling Federation. WWF went to great lengths to try and keep the NWA off of pay-per-view and get that pay-per-view cash to funnel into their pay system with all the great talent they had under contract. Starrcade 87 went down the tubes. What the hell was the second one called with the cage? The Bunkhouse Stampede. That was flushed down the toilet by the Royal Rumble. So the NWA wanted a little revenge, and up against WrestleMania 4, the World Wrestling Federation's biggest day of the year, Clash of Champions was on TBS for free. Phil, as someone that was around at that time, some of your memories of the big one.
You know, I'd like to say it was memorable, but I was just flipping back and forth, and honestly, WWF had my eye for the time now. So I'm going to be looking at this now through the lens, a foggy lens, Dan. I don't quite remember it, so it might be kind of a new experience for me too, watching.
Now, even though we're not going to watch the show right now, I thought WrestleMania 4 sucked.
You know, I would concur. You know, I don't know how anyone would like the Blue Cage.
That was WrestleMania 2.
Oh, that was 2.
4 was the tournament for the world title.
Oh yeah.
In Trump Plaza in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Even as a kid that was hyped up by just about anything, I thought that one was pretty lousy. Those tournament matches were.
Yeah. The drizzle and you know what?
They were. I enjoyed Demolition. The finals to the tournament with Randy and DiBiase were pretty good, but other than that, there was a lot of you know,
not a lot of sweet science. They might have been better off
with the going to black.
Yeah, not a lot of sweet science there.
You could have had a return match with Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, and instead you had Randy against Annie's good close personal friend, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Yeah. But anyway, wrestling fans, if you do not have the link where we are running a little behind, because of, we wouldn't say that John C. Manicus Riley would make a mistake, because I don't think that he's capable of it. He just got super excited and clicked next Sunday's button for Slamboree 98, when I will not be here for at least most of it. These two fine gentlemen are going to take the reins, not to be confused with the COVID-filled Roman Reigns.
Or Luther Reigns.
Or Luther Reigns,
one of my favorites as a child.
NWA.
Ruthless Aggression era fans, raise your hands.
I have a feeling there aren't many of those in the room.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I mean, that's when I started watching as a kid, so I'm a little biased. But the talent roster was great.
All right, so you guys click the link on Peacock. We'll probably give it about 30 seconds because we're so behind. And I'm going to hit the link so we can...
watch together.
We're going to watch it together. Watch along.
And Dan, I believe this is the first clash. We might have done one other clash, but I can't remember. But I believe this is the first clash, appropriately too, #1, that we've done. I think the other WCW shows have been Halloween Havoc and Starrcade. I don't think we've done a clash yet. So this is the first clash. I'm pretty sure, unless someone out there can tell us if we did another clash, I can't remember. So I think so it's nice. And we actually might do all the clashes at some point. We might get one from one. They did from 88 to 97.
Yeah.
And I know Dan's got his hands full with Quincy's wrestling challenge, and that goes to
That's,
95.
I'm never going to get rid of. So if that's the case, there's probably over 500 episodes of Wrestling Challenge.
It's a lot of
and
Quincy.
we're only on week 4.
So you'll
a lot of
it'll take
Quincy.
you a solid year and a half to get through Wrestling Challenge.
A year and a half?
Well, 500. How many? You'll do one show a week.
Yeah, you're
52
talking
a year.
a decade.
Oh, 52 weeks. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of 500 days.
Buckle
No,
up for 10
no,
years
no,
of Quincy.
we're definitely not going to be doing it every day.
How long do you think you can get through Quincy's Wrestling Challenge?
I just would like to get him enough money from the Super Chats to be able to get him the parts that he needs for a new order to refurbish his 78 Honda Honda-Matic that you want to go riding on with him this summer.
I'll go ride with them, but I think honestly you could get to at least summer of '87.
You don't understand. Quincy's, in the wintertime, it's a little tough for him because he can't ride the bike, and he puts on his Nikolai Volkov like winter hat and walks
The
about
galoshes.
6 miles to get here, and then he gets a ride home. But all right, fans, we're going to start the watch along now. Chance, if I think I'm sure you read my message. We went live about 5 minutes ago. Joe is excited that Phil DeCesare is here. Did I say it right?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
All right.
Great job.
These are always my favorite episodes.
Thanks for dressing for the occasion, Charlie.
Me?
Yeah, you got all dressed up.
I did.
Big win for the Patriots today, dear Lord.
I did.
Wow, 50 to what? 50 to 3 or something ungodly? 50 to 10. That's what it was. And Tampa Bay had a great comeback
Yeah,
today
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Brady traveled 93 yards in less than 2 minutes. That was a great one.
He still
too.
got the magic, baby. I
Yeah.
bet Vince wishes the ratings were on par with the score of today's game between the Patriots and the Jaguars, but that's a different story for a different time. Detroit, it was on your birthday. You turned 15 the day of WrestleMania 4 and Clash of Champions 1. All right, folks,
Oh, happy birthday.
get your WWE Network ready. John C., click the camera to our hosts with the most, the men that are going to be rocking and a-rolling 1 week from tonight, when we relive Slamboree 1998 from the Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, before it became the DCU Center. The DCU Center was so happy with our daily history video today, they actually retweeted it to all their fans, which I thought was nice. Thank you, DCU Center.
All right.
We've done some work with them in the past when WWE hasn't been drawing well, but we have clicked it in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, Dano.
Are we okay?
Nice catch. Big Dust.
The dream, baby. He wasn't going to be too far from the top.
I want to say two fun facts for fans out there. I actually watched the show the night before our big November 13th event.
A little inspiration.
Well,
Was
that.
there any particular reason?
Well, you remember I couldn't come that day because I had gotten my motorcycle accident. I was a little banged up.
Oh, that's
at the
right.
time.
Yes. Salute, big. How
And,
are you, my friend?
I decided I was going to stay home and watch some wrestling. And I said, Clash of Champions 1 would be kind of fun, something different. And I watched the show, and I loved it. And there's only one match I wasn't crazy on, and we'll leave it for people to kind of guess.
No, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so, but everything besides that one match was pretty decent to really good.
As far as why was Joe Shipley timed out, I have no idea. Sometimes YouTube, if you type in caps or if you put too much punctuation, sometimes YouTube does it on its own. I don't think we have a moderator in the room tonight because Phil is with us. I haven't seen Slick Rick. Vaughn and Tania have been kind of MIA of late, so
Oh, Tania. I miss you, Tania.
we miss you. If you're
We
watching,
saw her,
Tania, we
didn't we?
miss you,
We did,
kiddo.
Yeah, we saw her.
Chris
November.
Steves, how
November
are
at the
you,
show.
brother? Chris Steves says fake accounts running wild like Hulkamania
He's
tonight.
passed away, correct?
No, Bob Cottle's still with us, I
He's
think.
still alive, Bob Collins?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, I think Bob's still alive.
Bob is still alive.
Oh, he was older here.
Yeah.
And Tony Schiavone with the mustache before he went to Vince and shaved. Did Vince make him shave the mustache?
Yeah, I think he did
Yes,
that to
he
Ken
did.
Resnick, too. I think Ken Resnick lost his stash.
Why did
in
he
this
lost his
event.
stash,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why did Vince make them shave mustaches? Was only Okerlund allowed
Maybe he
mustache?
wanted to be like George Steinbrenner. I don't know. You
Exactly.
have to-
Yeah.
But Okerlund kept his. Rude had his mustache. Must have
Well, he
been
was a
Rude-
worker, so. But you're right about Mean Gene. I don't know.
Maybe he didn't like the way Mean Gene looked without a mustache.
Matthew Holland wants to know, why does Phil have yellow shoes? They look kind of neon to me, but I don't know. Is there a reason, Phil? Do you like these?
They're very comfortable.
They're very
comfortable, yeah.
Well, if you were trying to do
Minimalist.
a hit at night or something, you'd kind of stand out.
That's
The
exactly right.
kidnappings would be difficult with neon yellow shoes. Ah,
It curbs my criminal behavior.
Tommy Miller, I insulted poor Gary Michael Capetta because when he was here, I thought Gary was the ring announcer for this show. Why Tom Miller, I don't know. I'm as curious about that, Matthew, as you are about Phil's shoes.
There are some really good ring announcers that don't get a lot of credit. One of them, I think, was who was the guy Mid-South? Pierce Boyd? Boyd something?
Boyd Pierce.
Boyd Pierce.
He was close.
Very,
Yeah.
yeah, I
He's
just,
a little dyslexic, that's all.
That's okay.
he was very good.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And Jimmy Garvin, before he was steroided up.
He was actually on the. I know you find
When
it hard
was
to believe.
Jimmy Garvin steroided up?
Well, he was when he started. He was very light, very slim. So I mean, it's all relative. He's.
He was very chunky in early 92, 91, WCW.
I'm still waiting for the WWF talent we can interview in this studio that can answer me why Jimmy Garvin's run was so short when he was in WWF, which I believe lasted just one TV taping.
He did a segment with Mean Gene.
Yeah.
And I watched that segment, and it just looked like he wasn't fitting in that. Maybe he just didn't vibe with the company. I don't know. I really can't
At
tell
the end
you.
of the day, no loss. But
Right. Yeah.
I don't think anyone lost too much sleep that Jimmy Garvin didn't come in 92.
Doc Hendricks, his partner, Michael Hayes, had a great run with WWF.
And still running?
Still running.
Yeah.
almost 27, it'll be 27 years this summer.
He got there in 93.
5.
95 he got there? Oh, wow.
As Doc Hendricks.
Doc Hendricks.
Yeah, because he was wrestling, I think, up until 94 with WCW, I believe.
Yeah, they were doing some. I mean, you talk about small shows. To show how pathetic WCW was, they were doing shows in bars in front of like 400 or 500 people just to try and give some of the younger guys a little work.
In this era, Dan?
No, 94.
Oh, 94. Okay.
When Hayes was wrapping
Before,
up. And I remember that's where he was pretty much working with
before
those small
Hogan
shows.
got there?
Yes, yep. Then they pretty much eliminated them other than when Hogan would decide to do a tour now and then.
Wasn't that when Bischoff took over and he's like, no more house shows, we're losing money every time we go out the door?
Yeah.
We're going to cut back on house shows?
So almost like, I wouldn't call it, almost kind of on par with NXT, just to try and give some of the younger guys work that needed it. I think there were only like 5 match shows, and 3 or 4 of them would pretty much be guys you've never heard of or were brand new, and then 1 or 2 matches with, we're not talking the Stings of the world, you're talking about the main event
Almost like
might
a
be
C-show WWF.
Ron Simmons against Michael Hayes might be the main event.
Sure.
So
Mid-card, upper mid-card.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sorry, what were you saying,
Like
Charlie?
a C-show in the WWF from like 86 or 87, something
Pretty
like
much,
that.
yeah. That's a good
Where
analogy.
it might be like, you know, Pedro Morales might make an appearance as the main event or something like that.
Those C shows, you'd usually get 1 decent match, and the rest was what would be the Endicott on the A team. And it looks like, even though we're going with kind of standard def here on WWE Network, that's Teddy Long as the ref.
There he
thin.
is, yeah.
Very thin, Teddy.
Indeed. Wow. Gorgeous Jimmy pushing him around.
I don't like it when a guy does that to the ref, babyface or heel.
I
just think
agree
that-
100%.
That just ruins the credibility. You would not see that in the NFL,
Nope.
the NBA. Just don't like it.
The referee should never be touched unless it's a monster angle building to something. That built to nothing in an opening match that no one really cares all that much about. Nothing against Mike Rotundo or Jimmy Garvin or good
Right.
friend Kevin Sullivan at ringside.
There he is, also young looking.
Kevin
My
looks
Lord.
like he kind of woke up from a nap just.
Well, Kevin and I shared the same sentiment about a certain female this fall.
Oh, yes,
Kevin
yes.
said it in Las Vegas and I said it in Melrose, but the word was the same.
Ah, I recall that.
Dan, remember the heart? The heart?
Yes, you got the hot.
We looked at each other like
I got the
star-crossed
proverbial
lovers.
middle finger.
Exchanging, did I tell you about my interaction with that young lady?
Young lady, who the hell are you talking about?
That lady?
That one age-wise, made Piggott look like
No,
Britney Spears.
Medusa was hot and
That's
cold.
saying something.
I got along with her okay, but she
Yeah.
just had her own way of doing things. I liked her overall. She was just a little out there.
No, good. You can book her.
I mean, I would hang out with her and have a drink with her, but I don't know if I'd want to book her on a wrestling show, put it that way.
Joe Shipley, look forward to seeing the channel grow in 2022. Thanks for the memories, Dan and company. Joe, you're always welcome.
Love you, Joe.
Hopefully sooner than later. I don't know if you're from Maryland, but I would love to see the Orioles Park. That is the only stadium in the AL East I have not been to. So I don't know.
I went there years ago, Camden Yards.
And how did you like it?
Well, I went during Cal Ripken's retirement, Cal Ripken Jr.
So it would have been 95.
I think it's actually cheaper to go
No,
there
that
in
was
Park than it is to go to
2001,
Boston.
wasn't it?
You know, we've had
People
this
say that.
dispute before. You're
Yeah.
right. He broke the streak in 95 and he
2001.
retired in 01 after 9/11.
Yes.
So you're right.
But I went there and it was really cool. It was I mean I can't remember too much of it. The one park I'd love to go see if you put a gun to my head would be, from what I hear, PNC is beautiful.
Is that the Pirates?
Yes. That or the Giants Park I hear is very lovely as well.
I'm hoping WrestleMania week, it is going to be opening day for the Rangers against the Yankees. I would like to try and go to that. And what I think is one of the worst booking decisions of the year, the Rangers have a home game the night of WrestleMania. And I don't know if either of you are familiar with the setup, but it's probably, the stadium is probably as far as here from the tire place across the street, where the football stadium and the baseball stadium are.
Wow.
So I would try and separate them just for parking purposes.
Absolutely.
Didn't you tell me about when you went to Mania in Texas one year, the traffic? Where was it? You went in the traffic, it was one lane and both.
Well, that was Orlando.
Orlando. I thought it was Texas, but. So this is interesting. I just want to say for the fans out there, this
Give
was
me
a
the
one
signal,
count.
baby.
You had to pin your opponent with a one count.
Amateur
Why don't we
rules.
do it in
Amateur
between
rules. That
matches?
was Mike Rotundo's gimmick.
I'll tell you when we're in between matches.
I think-
John C. Manicus Riley is again trying to be the technological, did I say that right? Technological wizard that he is. He's got some ideas on to try and fancy things up in between matches, so we're going to get a little fancy tonight in 2022 here on Sunday Night Live on Wrestling Insiders.
Happy New Year, everyone.
The place to be. Don't forget, next Sunday, if you're not at the TD Garden in Boston for WWE's Super Show, you can well, I guess even if you are at the Garden, you can watch on your cell phone.
Sure.
But we're going to be having a Wrestling Insider Sunday Night Live watch along. Only Charlie and Phil and Howard Miller and John C. are going to be doing it without, as Quincy would say, yours truly.
Q-Man.
Quincy, again, is a Thursday night exclusive, other than when John Nord is here Saturday night, January the 22nd. Phil, hopefully you'll be able to meet John in person. He is a character you will never forget.
Fun-loving to a degree.
I'm there.
What did you say?
I said fun-loving to a degree. I meant fun-loving to a T.
I can't wait to meet him, yeah.
You won't forget it.
Now, did he score a takedown? Did he pin him for a one
Well,
count?
there's
I
a
didn't see a
round
half
system.
Nelson. Okay.
So they do rounds, and I think how the rules were is after the rounds they would do a
Points.
score. But I think it ended up. I was kind of, when I first heard the concept, I remember thinking, yeah. But I remember this match being very decent overall. I don't think it was amazing, but it was a decent opener. I wasn't a fan. I wish they had a more of a straight wrestling match.
Yeah, if it was a regular wrestling match, it probably would have been.
Because both of these guys
It
were
would
pretty
have
good.
complimented them.
Syracuse went on to beat, I think, every team but Iowa the year of Mike Rotundo was a senior, so they were a powerhouse. I think it was only Iowa, but I think they beat some of the other major powerhouses at the time. And he was really good.
Strong guy too. Seemed very strong, very.
He played football and he
Hell of an
wrestled
athlete.
for which
Hell of an amateur athlete. J.A. Will, I'm not sure if you are familiar, but where you came in a little late, this event took place the same day as WrestleMania 4. So it's a historical day, at least in 80s wrestling history.
And you know, I just want to say that I know in the Northeast, WWF was.
Wait a minute, he's got Precious.
Precious, baby.
He's got Precious.
Mrs. Garvin.
Kevin Sullivan looks like someone's sleepy dad in his bathrobe, doesn't he? Oh, there's the pin.
He got the one count.
Mike Rotundo didn't attend a pro wrestling match until he was 23 years old. He never even really watched it.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh gosh.
But then he certainly,
He took to it, that's
yeah,
for
he
sure.
did.
He married into it.
Yes, he did. And
He birthed it.
yeah, Dick Byer, the
Who's
original.
this, Hacksaw Jim?
Wow, look at her wielding the wood.
Oh my God.
She can wield wood any day. Wow.
Is this Precious?
Rick Steiner
That
wasn't
is
sold
Mrs.
that like
Garvin.
he got hit by Stan Hansen.
And
with
why
it.
would you put down the 2x4? Wouldn't you keep it up in your hand?
Look at her. Hell hath no fury.
But the people are into it. They were over.
Well, let me tell you.
This okay. I can see
who'd
the
have
guy
thunk
being
it?
choked out by wire. But for a guy the size of Rick Steiner to sell that 2x4 shot like he got hit by a bullet is a little much for me.
Well, you go get hit by a 2x4. That's a heavy
by
thing.
Precious?
If she really swung that.
Did you see the swing? Or were you looking in the other
Precious
direction?
is bigger than me. If I hit you with one,
We're not talking about the DeCesare swing. We're talking about the Precious swing.
the Precious swing.
Rick Steiner could walk into the gym in high tops, unlaced, get under a bar of 600 pounds cold, and squat it for like 12 times.
Yeah.
He's just a beast.
You get it, Phil. You get
Yeah.
it.
His
brother.
genetics are that good. Look at his son. His son is an animal.
He's great.
I love him.
I think he's
I
fantastic.
love him.
Now,
think the
at least you're going to
Look at this.
Jesus,
She couldn't even hold. Look
She
look
was
at
like
the way
kind of getting
Look at the way
95.
she's holding it.
1,000,000 to 1 shot.
Oh, please.
She was like a young Bryce Harper right there.
Now
He's still
this
young.
I can see. This I can see.
Sure.
That's going to choke out anybody.
Yeah.
But the 2x4 shot, no bueno.
The sleepy taskmaster. He was a little.
Yeah, he does look a little tired.
J.A. Will, what did you think of that
I
shot?
love
Yes,
the little
Jimmy
music
Garvin
in the
was a
background, too.
professional pilot. Kevin chased after Jimmy's wife. I don't know if you remember, it led to that god-awful triple cage match at the Bash in '88. What was that called? The Tower of Doom?
It might have been the Tower of Doom.
Oh God.
There's
Remember
Charlie's
that, where they had
favorite.
to climb into
Dr.
cage
Death.
after cage?
Yeah.
Couldn't sell ice cubes to an Eskimo.
Who? Dr. Death?
Doesn't want to sell at all.
You
This
weren't a
goes on a
Steve
little-
Williams fan.
This goes on a little long. I just like to see people sell, and Doc didn't want to sell for anyone. It felt like.
Well, John C., if you want to put up that little blurb, now would be a great time as Dr. Death
this
pipes
goes
the
on for a
fans up.
while. Dr. Death, I think, was a soundbite
Just
guy.
give
Should have
me
been
the
in and out.
cue.
He kind of rambles a little bit.
Not to be confused with Quincy.
Wrestling fans, we warned you this day would come. Unfortunately, we're running out of original episodes of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty each and every Thursday night at 10 p.m., but we're starting up that Indiegogo. You can help the cause. You can help Marty's show continue each and every week. Nobody does it like Marty. We had an incredible time with him at our 20th anniversary bash, November 13th at Memorial Hall here in Melrose. We want to have the good times keep on rolling, but we can't do it without you. Look for the Indiegogo link in the comment section below or across our website and social media platforms. We have some great perks, great rewards where you can even meet Marty himself. There's nothing like it. Since July of 2020, every week we've brought you the show. We need your help to keep on going. We tell you, without wrestling fans, there is no professional wrestling, and there's no better time to help the cause now. Let's keep Marty rocking each and every Thursday night.
All right, wrestling fans, in case you were wondering
that.
what on earth
I guess
that
Ray Gordy was not happy of how. I guess
Oh,
Terry died, and he was supposed to do something for his kids. He didn't do something for his family.
Doc kind of left them in the lurch.
Yeah, a little bit. This match, this was something.
Well, the link to the Marty Jannetty Indiegogo campaign is in the premiere chat. Now, help us bring you Season 2 of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. We had over 70 episodes in Season 1. If you want more, we have a prize-filled Indiegogo campaign ongoing. My old buddy, James E. Cornette, takes the mic. Worth listening to, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Loved. I think Cornette's one of the smartest men in wrestling. I made a list of the top 10 smartest people in wrestling the other day.
Where did I rank?
You're just right outside. the
Number
top 10.
11.
You're number 11, baby. I'm gonna call you 11.
As we hear the dubbed-over version of the Midnight Express theme song.
I was just wondering that too. I remember the old classic music.
Oh,
yeah.
Do, 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 do.
J.A. Will, where were you when you ran into Steve Williams at the grocery store? Yeah, I think Steve was probably about as thick as he was tall.
And how many
so I'm not
carts did he
surprised
have?
you say that. What's that now?
And how many carts did Dr. Death have there? My God, I bet he could eat.
I
I bet
bet
you
you.
wasn't drinking 2% milk.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Red cap all the way.
Yeah,
Who do we get
exactly.
here dubbed over? The Fantastics.
These guys don't get enough credit. They were very good.
Very good. The late
Very good.
Tommy Rogers
Yeah.
and Bobby Fulton, who's been suffering some extreme health problems over and
Yeah.
over again in different ways.
It's amazing to think that, one member of each team is now gone.
Look at the ring announcers. They
Bobby
can't get
Eaton
out
was
of
a
Dodge
loss.
quick enough.
What a loss was Bob Eaton was.
Yeah.
There's a story somewhere. Bobby Eaton was someone was at an award show. And Ric Flair was there, and someone called Bob Eaton the best pro wrestler of all time, and Ric Flair stood up and actually clapped.
He was proud of Bobby.
He's like he actually agreed. Yeah, Bob Eaton. And Bobby was about as good as anyone, I think.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, deceptively strong. Sometimes you just can't tell, but a very strong individual. Grip strength.
Great working punch.
Yeah.
Too. I would say, but one of the best working punches. I'd say maybe the only guy who had a better working punch than him was Lawler.
Yeah.
I loved how Lawler would cock from underneath like an uppercut.
Yeah. It's almost like a Tennessee style.
Yeah, I always thought those guys had the best punches.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you and the fans at home, if you want to hear some great, fun Bobby Eaton stories, the Kevin Sullivan Wrestling Insiders special edition episode that I had, I think back in September, he has some fun Bobby Eaton stories.
With
from
the
when-
excellent audio?
I was just going to say,
Well, might have to turn it up a little bit, thanks to the professionals at AML Creative.
The budget
does
went to the
AML stand for Audio May Leave?
Yeah. Audio may be low.
Hey,
Maybe lost.
listen, Dan, you need to stop because the budget went to his hat. that he had to buy.
Yeah, the Vistaprint $3 hat.
Now, was this a no DQ match? I don't know if it.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't honestly remember. Phil, you may remember better than me. I don't remember a huge vendetta between these two teams at the time, but they're sure working like there was.
No, they got a lot of heat right now. Yeah.
I'm confused because they're hitting weapons and they're doing all kinds of stuff, but they're not like getting DQ'd. So there must have been no DQ on this one.
Well, there was an odd stipulation for the opener, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I think this match, from what I recall, was as good as anything on WrestleMania 4.
Absolutely. Four great performers who worked well with each other and comparable in so many ways.
So I guess what I was trying to say is obviously, New England was a WWF area. But it seems to me when I watch the styles presented in the NWA opposed to WWF, I feel like the people up here being the tight northeastern people, as we supposedly are, would prefer this presentation. Like I feel like
First time they were at the Garden, they drew pretty good. That would have been the month after WrestleMania 3, so April of '87.
But I could see this style getting over in Boston and in Worcester and in Rhode
They
Island.
came to Worcester in the fall of October of '89. Was there? I think Muda was there, Sting was there, Terry Funk, I think, and Ric Flair. Just a great. Yeah, and they were over like Grover.
How did they draw in Worcester?
I think they had a great house.
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard.
When they did the Bash here in
And they had TBS.
'89, they didn't do as well, but the '87 show did do good.
But they had TBS too for. I mean, I heard stories they would go to like Ohio and Michigan in the early '80s because the TBS was really strong in that area, and they were coming out of Georgia doing that. So.
Where they did great in WWF markets were Baltimore and Philly.
Yeah.
They did
Baltimore was
fantastic there.
huge. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
New York, they had a hard time, I think, finding venues of a reasonable size that WWF didn't have a stronghold over already. I remember WWF left the Meadowlands, I think, for almost 2 years in a dispute because they let WCW in.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, were
That
there
would seem
towns
right.
that the WWF didn't do well in for years and years until a certain, like were there towns in the South or out West or in the Midwest that WWF just did terrible?
In '88, they tried to get into Charlotte. Well, they got into Charlotte for the first time with Hogan and Andre.
Yep.
It didn't even do 2,000 people. In '88,
Wow.
Where was this in Charlotte at the?
whatever the big arena would have been
And
called
that
at the
probably would
time.
have been 10,000 people probably.
Yeah.
Coliseum probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A match that did 33 million people on NBC couldn't get 2,500 people in Charlotte.
That's
and
terrible.
that amazed me.
That is interesting. But Texas, I don't think they were drawing. Were they drawing in Texas or places like that, or even Memphis at that time?
Houston, I know they would do good in. Dallas, off the top of my head, I don't remember either way. But
'Cause
I know
again-
Houston, they would do very well.
Because World Class came up here to that show in Manning Bowl, which is down the street from my
And
home in
Lynn.
85,
Yeah, I
right?
remember. Yeah. I
Cornette
remember
was
it.
at that show.
Yeah.
And he talked about how crappy the stadium was, and it is. It is a good-
Yeah, that They didn't go all out searching for a venue for that one. I wonder who the local promoter would have been for that one, out of curiosity. I know who I'm going to ask.
It wouldn't be our good friend Paul Richard.
No.
It wouldn't have been Paul Bowser either. There's a name from the past.
There's a name from
Oh,
the
that's
past.
like from the 60s, right?
Yeah, before my time, before your time, before all of ours.
Now I'm curious. Who would have been the local promoter for?
I feel like the Midnight Express have like the LGBT transgender flag on their tights.
I'm going to guess that's not why they're wearing that,
Probably
but I could
not,
be wrong.
but I just feel like that's the flag they have.
They were trying to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the time.
Yeah, they were
Good for them.
they were the all-inclusive express.
The all-inclusive express.
They beat up everyone.
It's midnight, so everything goes, I guess,
Everything
for
goes.
them. I don't know. Well, you know what they say about Ricky Morton? Corny says about Ricky Morton. He said Ricky Morton used to have more sex going to the ring than most of these guys did for, on a whole tour.
I would love to have Jim Cornette with us, but as I've noted to the fans that continue to ask, I had a conversation with him probably in October, and he's just so happy doing what he's doing, making mega bucks sitting at home with his podcast and his merchandise, and he doesn't like to fly, and we wouldn't be a close trip in the Cornette mobile, and
You should buy the Madden bus.
doesn't seem to be something that's going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. But I still have nothing but great things to say about the man from the times he was with Boston bad boy Tony Rumble when I was just a high school version of me.
Incredibly intelligent.
Very.
When you listen to him talk about modern day wrestling, how it can be improved, you can see it. He paints you a picture that you can actually visualize and how things would actually be. And it desperately needs it, I think.
Well, for him to be working in the WWF office and still want to come out on the weekends and do indies shows the passion that the man had for the industry.
Or that he just hated the WWF.
Or he just hated the WWF.
Or just somebody he's talked about.
I'm not going to put words in his mouth.
Yeah.
He has plenty of words that he shares on his own podcast. I don't even know. What does he do? It once a week? Twice a week? I think, is it twice a week?
Yes, too, is the experience and the drive-through.
Is there a difference?
Drive-through, I think, is more fan-related questions. Experience is more about different topics, so they'll talk about different things going on. And some of the stories he had, there was one episode in particular, we mentioned Junkyard Dog. Junkyard Dog would do a local syndicated promo for like a town in the territory in Mid-South. And there was a promoter who was a former Klan member, or he was a Klan member, and he would talk about the promoter's name. He's like, I can't wait to go and have fried chicken and watermelon, my good friend so-and-so. And he would mention the guy, he'd get all these phone calls like, why is the Junkyard Dog hanging out with you, of all people? But just to mess with him. So that was the dog, you know.
That's great.
So
I also want to send out well wishes to one of our great friends battling COVID tonight. We don't want to name names for the obvious reasons, but hopefully the vid leaves and they can get back to cohabiting sometime soon. Is that a good pun?
There you go.
There you go.
do I know this person?
I think so, yeah.
Am I friends with them?
I don't know if I'd say friends, but
Are they in here at the state? Are they in New York?
oh, geez, you're really trying to narrow it down.
I'm curious.
John C., should we give out the private intel? He's coming out, I think. I see they. I said, do you think we should reveal any more information other than this person has COVID? Should we give details?
I don't know who it is.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm asking. Do you think we should share or no?
Satan Carney.
No one would get it.
Is that right?
John
Yeah.
C. says no. Watermelon is good for men. Thank you, J.A. Would love to see you interview Axe and Smash. Well, Corbin, the great thing is we have archives on our YouTube channel. There are lots of interviews with Axe and Smash Demolition. There's going to be more to come this April when they are back with us. When we go back to the 80s, Saturday night, April the 16th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, the day before, both Axe and Smash are going to be taping a series of interviews in this fine facility. It's going to be great. They're going to do a cyber autograph signing for folks outside of Massachusetts, which will be a lot of fun. Both are just as good as they come in this crazy industry. They say don't meet your heroes. That's incorrect when it comes to Axe and Smash. They're good men.
Right on.
Quincy, no, it's not Quincy. COVID is scared of Quincy. Quincy would be the end of it.
Oh,
Quincy had COVID-3 and he didn't even realize it.
see, but him throwing over the referee, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense because he's like, F it, I'm going to go get my partner, and we're just going to go beat the shit out of these guys.
Uh-oh, rocket launcher, baby.
That-
Corny just waffled Eaton. Tommy Rogers down. Hooks the leg.
And a big win
Rogers is
for
great.
the
He could sell,
Fantastics.
too. He was just really...
I think he was blown up too. At one point, he just dazedly runs over to the other side of the ropes.
Now, wait a minute. Now the
Maybe
original
we're blowing up
referee.
He enjoyed his gimmicks, I think.
Yeah.
The
God bless him.
referee's making his way
Amen.
back into the ring. Wait a minute. We have another Dusty
Oh,
finish? Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh so hard in a second. This was one of my favorite spots of the whole thing.
Stan drop kicks Tommy Rogers. Bobby Fulton and Bobby Eaton. Don't confuse them.
I love.
Corny with the racket
Hitting
again.
everybody.
I laughed so hard that happened. He just smacks the shit out of the refs.
Well, this was a good program. You know, they went the rounds with the Rock and Roll Express for years.
And
Yeah.
Cornette is proof of how effective a manager can be.
Yeah.
People don't realize there's one guy in AEW. He was the manager for Pentagon or Pena El Zero, Alex Alejandres. Remember that guy? And I thought he could be a really good manager, but it's like you put him on TV for
I
a
do.
week. They sit there in the corner. They don't do anything. It's like a manager really works. I believe so. I don't say eat 10 of them, but have 2 or 3 that are effective.
JM, I'm not sure about any SD Jones interviews. I don't remember him really doing much in wrestling after he left WWF. I don't remember him as really being an indie guy, a convention guy, a shoot interview guy. Maybe there is, but off the top of my head, I know of nothing.
Is he
I think
alive?
I've
or is
seen him.
he's
No,
passed,
he's
right?
gone.
Yeah, he's passed.
I've heard him speak only once or twice in my whole time watching.
It would have
you
been a
know.
unique interview.
Yeah, and it was a very quick,
What was-
question answer. It wasn't really even an interview. Yeah.
What was the first interview? Was that Eddie Gilbert? He has one. It's somewhere on YouTube. It's like from '94.
I think he may have either him or Jesse was the first shoot.
Because he's got one.
Both of them did them early on in the shoot interview phase in the, I guess that probably would have been what, Phil, 92, 93-ish,
Yeah.
around when
And-
shoot interviews started on VHS?
Yeah.
You know, and Eddie, I should probably listen to that one because Eddie Gilbert seemed to have a very good mind and
Yeah.
seemed very ahead of the curve, kind of. He was very rooted in that Memphis tradition, but he was a little ahead of the curve, kind of. So it was kind of cool. He kind of had a mix of both.
Brody, obviously, who passed in July of '88, he kind of did a shoot, but I think it was more of a
Sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a clip of that.
I think it was a news media that did it. Was it? Am
Yeah.
I wrong?
Yeah. I think it was out of the business. It was out of that context. Oh, that's right. Eddie Haskell.
Yes.
Eddie Haskell was part of this.
And Jason Hervey is in
Osmond.
this.
There he is. Ken Osmond.
Wow. Talk about Desperation City.
Yes, Mrs. Cleaver. Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice little fun segment.
Hot.
I think he became a cop after, believe it or not, after his acting career.
Did he really?
Yes, he did, I
Wow.
believe. He's since passed on, not so long ago either, past year or so.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know who this was until I saw him. I never knew who he was.
He looks remarkably similar to when he was in his heyday, decades before.
Yeah, I agree with you, J.A. Well, SD Jones, his accent was very, very thick.
Yeah.
Where is he from?
Antigua, the West Indies,
Yep.
yes.
Good friend of Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard Tony talk about him in a couple
Many
of stories,
times.
Yeah. He seemed his closest friends would be, what would you consider him, Tommy Rich, Dog maybe?
Not really.
I thought him and Dog were kind of close.
Him
Probably-
and Tommy Rich were very tight. SD.
Mark Henry,
When they worked together.
Teddy Long.
MJ.
Kenny Long, he was buddy with. They would still speak after his WWE career on the phone.
What did you guys think of these two, Gary Hart and
Al
Seth
Perez.
Rollins.
Yeah, right, huh? I know.
Al
Al
kinda
Perez, I'm sorry.
He was kind of a total
that?
package, but he seemed like he was missing something. Kind of like a Tom Zink.
Yeah, talent.
He wasn't that bad.
Rocking the jean jacket.
No, he wasn't that bad. He just wasn't all that good. He had a good look.
Looks great, yeah.
Gary Hart, though, is one of the more underrated managers in, I think, wrestling history.
Oh, yeah.
I seen you at Popeyes yesterday. I don't know who you're talking about, Matthew. Were you at Popeyes yesterday, Phil?
I've never even been to Popeyes.
Ever?
There's
You
one.
have never been to a Popeyes?
My 10-year-old wants to go, but not yet.
There's
No.
one near
It's going to
my
be
house.
Chick-fil-A if we go.
There's one in my
Haven't been
house.
there in a
Don't
while
go on
either.
Sunday. What's
What?
that
No.
now?
There's one near my house, but I didn't go there yesterday.
You've been before, though.
Been there before.
You've had some Popeyes.
I've had some.
You
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah, you like the Popeyes. Yeah.
If they start serving spinach, I might go. I don't know. No.
I told my mother that you referred to your local place as the satellite office, and she thought that was the funniest
She
thing.
got a kick out of it.
She got
All
a
right.
kick out of it.
Well, I know what isn't the satellite office was my pizza in the refrigerator here at the studio.
Oh, here's the funny. We go by the satellite office, and this lovely lady gives us our order. Oh, Francis Crockett, what a dime! And
You might even say a nickel. but-
and you call her under the breath of Berzerker.
So?
I laughed so hard. I thought that today in the shower. I thought that was hilarious. I was laughing in the shower so hard because you said Berzerker.
Were you thinking about her as you were in the shower?
Maybe I was. Maybe I was thinking about the Berzerker. What is a Berzerker
Did Quincy
exactly?
come streaking by you? But
Oh, it should have.
That's what we should do. We should send Quincy running through a drive-through naked, carrying his clothes that he's going to
Say
put
it's
on.
for
or
the
his-
through a car wash.
He talks about his life as if he's one of, we're good entertainers. We go out, we drink milk, we go and wrestle for the kids.
Everything's
He's the
for the
best.
kids with Quincy.
He's the best.
Look at these names.
Francis really doesn't know how to hold the mic. She doesn't know how to hold or work the stick.
Ooh, this is
So we get some six-man tag team action coming up.
The bathroom
Next
break
on
of the
Clash
show.
of the Champions. Great time for a cheap plug. If you want early ad-free access, full screen to Wrestling Insiders, while helping keep wrestling legends working, over 300 full-length episodes, our studio shoot interview, DVD library, Patreon exclusives like Demolition Axe, rewatching Demolition, winning the title from Strikeforce, which premiered yesterday. Head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Join the Boston Wrestling Patreon family again while you personally help keep wrestling legends working. And we need more of them in this fine studio as we get ready for six-man tag team action with some dubbed-over music here on Clash of the Champions 1. Right now we were probably getting ready for Randy Savage and Butch Reed at WrestleMania 4 in the first round of the tournament.
That's why I'm glad I have still a good library of VHS, largely, from back then, because the music is the intended music.
Yes, you got the originals. It's like
Yeah.
cult classic.
Yeah.
The DeCesare VHS collection.
Did you have a favorite around this time, Phil? Like who you liked watching, some of your favorites in the ring?
In NWA.
Well, in just anywhere in this time period, late 80s, early 90s. I kind of lumped them together. I love that era, the mid 80s to early 80s to early 90s to me is that one full era. I know it's kind of split up a little bit, but from like 85 to 92 is one era for me. So anything in
85 to 92.
like kind of, especially for WWF.
Well, I was definitely a Hulkamaniac, and how you couldn't be at that point,
Yeah.
I mean, he was just, he was
J.A.
everything.
Witt.
Nature Boy, too.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
J.A. Will, I'm going to guess you meant to write Dad instead of Dan. You had quite a collection of GCW programs, huh? Interesting.
Really?
Georgia Championship Wrestling?
Unless there's one
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
a Georgia
know of.
guy, I believe. Yeah, I think.
Oh,
he's-
is J.A. Will a
I think
Georgia
he said
guy?
he's a Georgia guy, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Well, I don't. Now, how did you lose them all, J.A.? Matthew Holland likes seeing Charlie on the show. He's wondering what kind of gas he uses. Well, we can't get into that in the chat.
87 in my car for now.
We got a barbed wire Chicago street fight.
Wow.
But it wasn't
That's
in Chicago.
not-
It was in what was this again? Baltimore?
Greensboro.
Greensboro.
Oh, Greensboro.
Oh, Uncle Ivan.
Manager galore at ringside with Paul Ellering and Paul Jones. Animal's got that hockey mask on from when he almost broke his face.
Was that from the weightlifting,
Yes,
the bench pressing competition? Yeah.
I may have had in the studio the Warlord.
The Warlord has been in this studio. Animal was going to be in this studio before he passed away, unfortunately.
I had a pretty cool interaction with Animal, again, back at that NWA show in Worcester at the auditorium. It was, I think, October of '89.
Where did you meet him?
So I'm in the lobby. And of course, I was a smart ass. I said, Joe Laurinaitis, Joe. And he finally looked over and I looked at me, what? And I said, hi.
How did you know his name? And
it was with the old mags. And he goes, do I know you, kid? I said, no. He goes, then shut the fuck up. It made my day. Honest to God, he did say that. He said that.
Did you say to him, do you know who I am? And he went, who?
You should have told him, I'm Phil fucking
Cesare. And in 10 years, I'll be big enough and I'll come get
Treasury. I tell you, the layout of the barbed wire is a little...
Yeah, a little suspect.
Not the most dangerous version we've ever seen.
No.
So we got 5 minutes. Go out and put it on.
You know what I enjoyed at the Cauliflower Alley Club this year? We sat with Paul and his lovely wife both nights. You know, the honorees have their own special tables, and Lou Data, I don't think, realized what an honor it was to sit with the Ellerings.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine Lou Data?
I remember Paul Ellering's wife whispered to Paul, why are his teeth so small? She didn't want him to hear it, though. But I heard it.
You know, the smaller his teeth, the better his hearing.
There's actually a picture of myself, Lou Data, Den Fan, and both Ellerings. They wanted a group photo.
That's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Paul
Ellering, what a great guy. We did a promotional campaign with him back in maybe 2006 when his book came out about the famed Iditarod dog race.
Sure.
And he was actually from Melrose, Minnesota. And he said, he wrote a little blurb to me in the front of the book. He said, I'm from Melrose, Minnesota, ... comma.
That's so cool.
And then we had a great 2 nights together. I'd love to have Paul here at the studio, or I think he'd even be a fit for the Back to the 80s event. Maybe he could do a tribute to the Legion of Doom.
Sure.
Great speaker, great talker,
Yeah.
very, very interesting guy, very zen kind of guy.
I heard he was a little bit kind of like a hippie, kind of. Not a hippie, but just a very laid back, almost like a peaceful, just a add zen sort of person.
I don't think you're going to get much of a rise out of him, anger or happiness. He's just kind of on his own
Even
plateau.
keel.
Yeah.
He's cool hand Luke.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
He had a deadlifting record too, I guess.
Strong guy.
Yeah, very strong. He has a deadlifting record. A lot of those Minnesota guys do too. I think Wayne Bloom, I think Paul Ellering, both.
Quick match. Not a lot of barbed wire involvement, but a street fight
This
nonetheless.
was the one match I was like, but other than that.
Too many guys in the ring at the same time.
Yeah, and
The barbed wire was ridiculous. Oh, wait a minute, the mask came off.
The Barbarian leveling him, little mafia kick. Once called King Konga in Georgia Championship Wrestling when he first started, the Barbarian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No,
Ronnie Garvin brought him in, I believe.
What is that on Animal's face? A bandage?
Maybe. Now,
This isn't
where do you
exactly-
guys
this
rank the
isn't
Road
HD.
Warriors in all-time great tag teams?
Oh, they have to be in the top 3, I think.
Oh,
or top 5 anyway. I know
definitely top
Demolition is
5.
one with you, I know.
I put them up there with the Steiners.
Steiners are up there, Road Warriors, Demolition.
Rock and
there's so
Roll?
many.
and there's so many that we
Midnight.
weren't even around
Stevens
for.
and Patterson, you know, they're just such great teams,
The Fabulous Kangaroos, pull that out of my hat.
I should say. Al Snow kind of got his start as a kangaroo,
He
I
did,
think, back in
yeah.
Ohio.
He wasn't one of the ones that Charlie was referring to, but he was at one point
Right.
a kangaroo.
Yeah, it was Al Heffernan and Costello, or Al Costello and Heffernan, I think.
Well, I know he was in
I
a
think
great
so,
tag
yeah,
team
yeah.
with Doomsday, later to be Kane in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Oh, yeah?
Pulled that out
I
of
forgot that.
the Cesare hat as well.
There you go.
But no, I think you know, and I didn't get to watch him. The only time I got to watch him, I remember watching, going back to the Ruthless Aggression era, I watched the Heidenreich and Animal tag team, And then later when Animal wore jeans and a vest, and it was, listen, I liked Heidenreich.
You'd think with the position his brother was in, they could have done more with him, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Joe, you gotta go and help the young guys.
J.A. Will, I hope you find these programs. What was it like working out in the gym with John Laurinaitis?
Who said that? Who asked that? Me? I didn't work out with him.
No. J.A. Will.
Oh, he worked out with Johnny Ace
Yeah.
before.
Did you have any other, on that night, did you have any other sort of interactions with other pro wrestlers from the show? Calling them their shoot names and being just
No.
jerks to them?
Terry Funk once said, "I'm going to knock your dick into the dirt" when he was out. He said, "I
You got
love Terry
excited?
Funk. I have a great
You got a
interaction
little
with
excited
Terry
when he
Funk."
told you to knock the dick into the dirt.
I backed up a few steps.
Oh,
You didn't
my
want to
horse.
wind up in some basement. Yeah.
If my horse wasn't sick, I would swear to Cesare. He's going to wear a shirt, Cesare sucks eggs.
Matthew
I'm an egg-sucking dog.
Yeah.
from Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Hey.
Welcome to MWF Studios in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. The zip code of champion
Nikita with
02176.
hair. I've had that haircut before.
John, no, I think that's how I met you. You had a haircut.
Similar to that.
Similar to
Nikita's-
that, yeah.
No, I always liked when
Yeah,
Nikita
it was
grew his
very
hair.
spiky in the front, from what I remember.
It was like a hedgehog.
Very spiky.
Yeah.
You were going for that WWE Abercrombie and Fitch look, I think.
It was. It was. Actually, funny enough that you mentioned this. So, our good friend Cam Zagami,
Yeah.
I did a seminar with him years ago for Paul London, if anyone remembers Paul
I
London.
do
remember
indeed.
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul was a very nice guy, and he said to all of us, everyone here looks different except for you two. And he pointed to Cam and I. He's like, you look like a couple of guys from Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah. And I didn't have the body Cam had, but we have similar frames and similar looks, I guess. But Paul London was similar tendencies. but Paul was a very nice guy. Great talent too. I was a big fan of him and Kendrick as a team.
Brian Kendrick, the Brian Kendrick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were a good babyface tag team. Them and Eminem, I thought had some of the best tag team matches that I saw as a kid.
Eminem is a very underrated tag team.
Yeah.
Not a fan
Ton.
of Kendrick and London over there, Dan. You gave me as a babyface underneath tag team. I thought they were very good. They had the titles for like 9-10 months.
Together, they look like they weighed about 170 pounds.
They were bigger than Lou, though.
Well, I'll give them that, but not much. I mean,
But
if
they
you
were
did-
small,
if
but-
you did Kendrick and London against Fan and Lou, I mean,
Well-
you're talking about combined, we're not even hitting 350.
Well, I would say this. Together, they were better than as single entities. They worked together as a tag team, I think.
Kendrick got somewhat of a push when they gave him
Uh,
Bob.
Did I shut it off? I got so excited.
But I was a
Sure,
fan.
still
And again,
on.
that goes back to the era that I was of my fandom.
Are you hearing nothing?
Yeah.
Or am I muffled? Or
Nikita says, "Je t'aime ta," and Jim Cornette says, "Stop speaking French." Nikita actually learned Russian. He's fudging his way through it,
John
this
Nord
time.
said he gets angry if you call him Scott Simpson.
Here's
he only
something
wants
even
to
more.
be referred to as Nikita.
His birth name is Nelson Scott Simpson at that.
Oh, Nelson is his real first
Yeah.
name. Oh.
Now he didn't
See,
wrestle that
did it
long.
come- did it pick up at all, see?
He wrestled
Yes,
a few
okay.
years in the NWA, and
His wife got ill, and then he took
She
time off
died?
to take it. Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
And,
87, 88, I
Yeah.
think.
oh wow,
She had cancer.
Yeah.
Jesus, because he wrestled a little bit after this. He wrestled in WCW in the early '90s, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, he came back as a heel.
He turned face when
And then he was he was probably around from, what would you say, Phil? 91, 92-ish,
Yep.
and then he vanished again.
Yeah, and I think Vader put him out for good, actually. I think
He probably got a
hurt
whiff of
Nikita's
that
neck.
gear and said, I'm not coming back. This was worse than when my wife died.
Now this match here, oh my God,
Charlie's just getting it.
oh my God. Now this match here, I was talking to one of the participants in the November 13th show about
Yes.
this, Trey Lamar, and I had a conversation
About Tully Blanchard?
No, we had a conversation about this show.
Clash of the Champions?
Because I told him.
Oh, you were telling him you watched it. Okay, all right. Now
And
it's starting to
I
resonate.
told him, I said, hey, you got to check out Barry Windham. And he looked at me like I had 6 heads, and I said, forget it.
Tell me he knows who Barry Windham is.
He knew who Barry Windham was. Thank
Yeah.
God he knew who Barry Windham was. If you're a pro wrestler, you don't know who Barry Windham is. That's a little bit of a cardinal sin, I think.
I think Barry Windham discovered Lex Luger in the supermarket in Florida.
Did he?
I think so.
I never knew that either.
Yeah.
But Barry Windham, my God, was there an all-around better worker in 1988? Maybe. He was phenomenal here.
I totally agree.
He was so good, and you'd think.
Look at JJ bouncing off the ropes like he's going to do something.
I remember seeing JJ again. I think against Tito Santana from MSG in like an
That
opener.
was a gift to JJ because he always wanted to work the God and be a New Jersey guy.
What
and
year was that in?
That makes
84,
sense.
I think?
Yeah.
With Arriba.
Yeah.
Before he long before he managed the horse.
And honestly, what better wrestler to work with than Tito Santana? I mean, that was a great.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good match right there.
Tito was probably like, who the fuck is this?
You know?
And why am I working him in MSG?
You know what? Speaking
And
of
how
Tito,
is this going to affect my payday?
we, you know, and I know you hate when I mention other people's podcasts because we're not getting plugs, but we talked about Rene Dupree,
Yes.
and he has a podcast out, and he
Rene
mentioned,
Dupree has his own?
yes,
Oh, I misunderstood that part of the conversation.
but no, he has his own. I've been watching a couple episodes off YouTube, and it was pretty good. But he mentioned something, and it's interesting. You know, I know Dan likes to make fun of Arriba, but in today's world, with the audience out there, I think Tito Santana would be a world champion for the simple fact. Hold on, for the simple fact. Let me explain. For the Latino
The
audience,
demographics of
the
wrestling
demographics,
now.
and now to be a world champion, he would have been a big guy. You put him in AEW, Tito
Well,
would have dwarfed most of that roster.
Yeah,
In WWE, he'd be probably in the bigger part of the roster.
I just don't think they'd go that route with him because he was just boring.
Well,
Very good in the ring, but as far as his personality goes,
They put
I
the-
always found him very boring.
They put the title on other guys. They just put the title on Big E, who they never built up more than just a mid-card guy, and they just put the belt on him.
And as much as I think he sucks, at least he has the quote-unquote sports entertainment personality they're looking for.
I don't think- why do you
Do you
think he
imagine
sucks?
Tito coming out to New Day Rocks
Yeah,
in
true.
Spanish? I mean,
Nueva Dia.
Throwing pancakes.
yeah, I
Throwing
couldn't see
burritos
Tito
at
doing
people?
that.
Tortillas, perhaps, or burritos.
Well, why do you think he sucks? I think Big E's a capable wrestler. I think he's not bad at all in the ring.
Passable.
But to be a main event guy, you don't have to be a great wrestler. You know that.
Kofi and Xavier Woods, to me, as much as I don't like it, do sports entertainment, quote unquote, right. Big E, I mean, he's as wide as he is tall. He does the comedy stuff, whatever. But I don't see him as anyone that anyone is going to take seriously. I think the fact that you look at the attendance, now granted, you can't blame him for all the attendance woes they have right now, but he's done nothing to help since they put the title on him.
Well,
No one cares.
I
He's
think
not
it's
even a
always-
top 10 merchandise mover. What does it say when they sell more NWO in Steve Austin t-shirts than they do their world champion?
But that's not. I agree with that. I do. But is New Day's not in the top 10 for merchandise?
I don't think they make New Day merchandise anymore.
So why are they still? Well, I guess they split them up
Yeah.
technically. Well, I think part of it's just the way they presented him. I'm not saying he's an end-all, be-all performer. I just don't think that they really presented him that way. And why they have him eat the pin? That's telling that they had him eat the pin from Lesnar yesterday.
I thought that was actually a good thing.
For what reason?
I think it made the win more credible, that he actually beat the champion as opposed to someone that wasn't the
Right.
champion.
But where does that leave Big E going forward? Into another title match?
Hopefully not on TV often.
See, this is what I'm getting at for him. I think it was the way to bury him a little bit.
Because I think the experiment, and it's not all his fault, but I think the experiment was a complete and utter failure. Bobby was hot. There was no need to do it other than to say, oh, we cashed in the Money in the Bank and nobody cares anymore because we do it twice a year instead of once a year.
Yeah. Waters
Well,
it down.
I think the coming weeks will be. I mean, they're going to try to do Roman and Brock now in a title unification match. You think?
I think that would be fantastic. I've been a big advocate of them having one world champion that worked both shows, like they have, for whatever reason, the women's tag team titles,
Yeah.
which thankfully haven't been seen as often as it was at one point, but we can only wish they do away with that.
Great spot by the way with the sleeper going
Oh,
down
they're
the
going to
ring.
defend the title on all three brands. Oh, really? What have they been on NXT? Once?
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was a young lad, not a young lass, but a young lad, I would watch.
Were you a young lass?
Maybe mentally. But I would watch the brand splits. You know, SmackDown and Raw were rival brands, and that worked for a time. And then they would switch things up, but it always felt to me like we all knew it was the same company. and it didn't really matter what show you watched. But each brand at least had their own unique feel. If you watched SmackDown, that had its own feel more so than Raw. In my opinion, I was actually more of a SmackDown guy, if anything. I always thought SmackDown, over the last couple decades, has been the consistently better show, I think, overall.
They did the draft to me. The only time they ever really did it right was 02, the first time, 04, and 16, when they went back to 2 shows as opposed to just 1. Other than that, like I've said before and I'll say again, it's like whoever put it together has never watched a Major League Sports draft and have any semblance or any idea of how to execute it, whether it's been robots that have picked it or...
What are the Dan Marati tips of a successful draft? And these people are so hot.
I wouldn't do it the way they do it because it just makes no sense. Why, if just per se there are individual people running Raw and SmackDown, why would they put their top stars just out there for the other show to take? It makes no sense. You have to come up with a better structure than that. Maybe they go the route of when they have expansion teams in Major League Baseball, where each team is allowed to protect, I think it's 5 guys in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then after that first round, they're
in the
allowed
NBA
to protect 5 more. What's that?
They do that in the NBA too, I believe.
Okay, so I'm not as familiar with the NBA as I am baseball, but I would go maybe that route first, where you have guys that you can associate with the brands for many years as opposed to just flip-flopping them. Maybe 4 or 5 guys that are untouchable. You know that they're Raw guys, you know that they're SmackDown guys, and then you have guys that are more interchangeable. If I was to do a draft, I would go that route. I would make X amount of guys, 4 or 5, you know, they get a chance to protect them from the other show taking them, and then go from there. That's how I'd do it.
And you know what, honestly, too, and it made me
As
think
opposed
of
to
this.
having Stephanie come out in her heels that makes her look like she's about 6'8", coming out and saying, Raw gets, SmackDown gets, Raw gets, SmackDown, Raw always picks first, which is another thing that annoys me about it.
Yeah,
they
Raw.
get more picks, and they always get to go first. Why doesn't SmackDown ever get to go first?
Right. I agree with that. And again, I think SmackDown consistently over time has been the better show. And I'll also say that it kind of comes down to, I think with WWE, you know, let's be real. There have been some talents over the last 20 years. If they were on SmackDown, if they were on Raw, they would have had better careers. They would have been used better. They wouldn't have had certain political issues, things like that. But
well, it certainly wasn't Raw and Nitro, that's for sure. But I just wish the 2 shows almost acted like the other one didn't exist.
But this is a hell of a match. My gosh. Look, the people are standing the entire time. They've been making noise the entire time.
Everybody was over.
Yeah.
And
There was pacing. There was patience in the booking.
all 4 of these guys were great.
I don't know if I'd go that far about Luger.
Luger
but
was very good at this time. Luger was getting pretty good at this point.
he was?
You put 89, 90 Luger in the ring now today compared to what's going on. He's a standout.
Listen, if they brought me in to work with Flair and Anantelli in 88 and 89,
You
I would have looked good.
You could only get better. Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
He actually wasn't that bad here. He held up his end.
Which is saying something because, 2 of the 4 guys are second generation. And one you could argue Arn is kind of in a way, a second generation kind of guy. Well, by
proxy.
By proxy,
By
exactly.
storyline,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But I'm trying to say, Luger wasn't in the business that long, and he caught on. He's only like 2 years in the business at this point.
But he was never that good.
I think he started in '84, Florida, late '84. Yeah, slingshot.
I love the slingshot suplex. But to me, I remember being on the edge of my floor in the old Marati den watching this.
Yeah.
Excited about every match.
Did you like
Absolutely.
Luger back then as a young Marati?
No, I never liked Luger.
See, I think you have.
I thought he was boring.
I think you have a bit of a bias against Luger.
He wasn't any good.
He was good here. Look, he could.
When he was in there with the Horsemen. If he was in there with a jobber, it was.
He had a good match. He could work with guys like Pillman, guys like Sting. It wasn't just the Horsemen.
Yeah, he had to be in there with someone that was very good, or he wasn't going to have a good match.
Stan
If you look
Hansen?
at anyone,
He's in for the hot tag right now, so he's going to pop no matter what.
right,
you
he's
know.
going to get a pop there. But
But he held up his end. That's what I'm trying to say. El Gigante was terrible. He couldn't do anything, no matter who he was in there with.
They gave him one of the great pushes in the history of WWF, and it was one of the most colossal failures of all time.
He was hot at SummerSlam '93.
No one cared. Business didn't go up.
Because
if he was
Hogan
hot
was-
and he was over, the attendance would have
Business
increased.
didn't go up for Brett and Diesel and Shawn, and they
Well,
were
they weren't over either.
well,
Shawn, I disagree with.
Shawn, the house shows were not doing that great with Shawn
They improved from the year before.
from '95, '96.
Correct. Now, granted, they did bottom out the year before, so really there was only one place to go.
Yeah.
But technically, in a bad situation, they could have
I
continued
know
to decline.
WWF in '96 did one big show, I think in Toronto, in like September or August. Or
Yeah,
something
they
like
did
that.
about 25,000.
They did. That was their biggest show that year, I think. Because WrestleMania was in Anaheim, and they might have had 18 or something like that. you
It
know?
wasn't big enough to do 25.
Yeah.
That was at some kind of a festival or a stadium show, the one in Toronto.
Brett, I'll give Brett this. He was a big draw overseas, and he helped them with the overseas tours. And that was their money back then. But Shawn, that's why I can't give Shawn the GOAT title, because he never drew.
Well, at the time, he drew the biggest buy rate in the history
Wrestling
of professional
fans, we
wrestling.
want-
So he,
What was the buy right there?
I think it was 740,000 for WrestleMania 14.
I think that was more Austin.
He was still in the match.
Well, so was the referee.
Oh,
That was Boston, huh?
yes, yep.
Iron Mike Tyson.
You got
My
it.
friend Bastard Murphy got tickets. They were giving them away at a house show when he got
Bastard got free WrestleMania tickets?
pretty much, yeah.
Really?
I think that's what he said to me. He says hello, by the way.
How old was Bastard Murphy for WrestleMania 14?
Well, here's the fun thing about Bastard. Bastard Murphy was born in '85. He's a little older than me. So he started
so he was
watching.
so he was a teenager.
So
at least.
he started watching in like '93, '94, and he watched during that era when it was like him and 8 other people watching. But as he grew up, it was perfect for him because he grew into the Attitude Era with them, so he constantly got to mature with them. And by the time he hit the mid-2000s, he was out of it. As opposed to me, I came in right at the end of that Attitude Era for that 02-03 Ruthless Aggression time period. And by the time I hit 2009 or 10, I was out of it.
Well, just to catch up on the chat, Boston said Lex could only beat up Elizabeth, scumbag.
Oh,
Chris Steves, welcome. Thank you for donating, my friend. Imagine if everybody threw in $1 tonight. We'd be rolling in it. We'd never have to buy another pizza those cleaning women stole.
Was he the original
Rick
last
B,
name?
Slick Rick B is here tonight.
Woo!
Thank you, Slick Rick B. J.A. Will, thank you for some love, brother. We hope you find those programs even more now. I would love to actually see them if you ever find them. Maybe you could scan them and we could share them with the fans, almost like a virtual library, so to speak.
Great match, by the way. I was
right.
surprised that
I thought you had...
I was going to say something to J.A. I wonder how he's doing. He's down in Georgia, right?
Yeah,
I
he
wonder-
wants his programs back.
Yeah. I hope he gets them. I hope he's safe from those tornadoes down there, too.
Are there tornadoes
There
down
are. There
really?
were some, yeah.
Where in Georgia?
I think mid-state at this point. They're kind of, it's south of Atlanta, you know. Yeah.
Hopefully Sheiky Baby is all right, and Bill
know.
Eady, and all of
Yeah.
our other friends. And Oscar is down in
Absolutely.
Georgia now.
Oh, yeah. I've got a brother
Well,
down
I'm glad
there.
you think it's so humorous that Oscar lives in Georgia. But
I had some interactions with Oscar. I'll say this: Medusa, Oscar.
you like Medusa more than Oscar.
Yeah,
Why?
because Oscar was such a grump, and Medusa was hot and cold. But at least when she was okay, she was okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. That almost sounds like Linda. Anyway.
Speaking of someone that's hot and cold, you think Captain Lou was as big as Jason Hervey? He looked pretty small here.
I think Jason Hervey was bigger than Lou Data, yeah.
Really?
And I think he had at least adult-sized teeth that Missy Hyatt enjoyed.
I was just going to say,
Missy Hyatt enjoyed Jason Hervey.
yeah.
How
Oh,
old was
they
Jason
were
Hervey?
an item.
Yeah.
Wait, what year? Because Jason Hervey's like 10 here, isn't he?
No, he would have been,
He looks
I
like-
guess, a late teenager, if nothing else. He was very popular on the show, The Wonder Years. I can't believe this show has gone by so quick. We're already in the main
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, look at that
This is-
young stinger.
This
Wow.
is, yeah, that looks like a Yen DeCesare. Yeah, that's why I like these clashes because they
Chance
go by.
Groves Biz,
you know?
thank you, brother. Like I said, every
It's not
dollar,
a
every
4-hour
donation helps.
TV show with the pre-show.
It's perfect amount, yeah.
To get in a cheap plug before this begins, the Berzerker John Nord will be back LIVE live the weekend Saturday, January the 22nd. For those of you that love Quincy, for the first time, maybe the only time, the Berzerker and Quincy Rustani will be in the same studio, same time. We're going to have a supersized live watch-along of some kind that night. I know Charlie is planning on being here. I think Phil is planning on being here.
What night is
we're
that?
really, what's that?
What night is it?
22nd.
Saturday, January the 22nd.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then 1 week from then, we have another WWE legend that's going to be here live for the Royal Rumble. We're going to have a big Royal Rumble watch-along, cyber autograph signing, live episodes. If you're on the Patreon, you already know who I'm talking about. And don't spoil it for those that aren't on the Patreon. We got to get everybody on the Patreon. But that gentleman is going to be here for the very first time in studio. We're going to have a lot of fun. I think when we've worked with him in the past outside of the studio, it has been great. So we got a big month of January ahead, but I do have to note, gentlemen, before this begins, we may need you to take the reins, not just on January 9th, but January 16th. I may be required to be out of the state yet again, CW.
Your call.
On one of my
right?
mystery trips.
What show would we be doing that day?
I think you came up with a list, did you
So
not?
I came up with a few. I came up with this show, obviously. We did Slamboree 98.
There was another good clash, so Steamboat and Flair.
I did come up with a couple.
Yeah.
Rumbles 2000, 2001.
Yeah, I know you said those were amongst your favorite, Dan. I think
I
you went
like
to
them
both
both
of them,
very,
didn't
very,
you?
very much.
Did you attend both of those?
I was at 2000. I was at 2000 as a guest, and I was with them in 2001 when it was in New Orleans. So
All right.
they were both very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm really open,
open
to
to
anything.
anything.
Yeah, but it could be whatever. It could be another clash. It could be, it depends. But I don't
So
mind
we had
doing it.
for this month, just so it's clear in my mind, for Sunday Night Live, we still have
Slamboree 98.
Slamboree 98 next week,
Yep.
Royal Rumble 2000 at some point, Royal Rumble 2001 at some point, and I
know
think we
you
have.
and John Nord want to do 92, right? For the John Nord show?
Well, we could do that on the Saturday.
Well, for John Nord.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. And we could put another show in there for the 16th, or if Phil wants, we can talk about it afterwards. If
Yeah.
Phil wants to pick another show, he can. And
I'm open to anything. Yeah.
I do like one, but I will say this with the
ECW
question.
maybe? No.
It could be that, but actually the ECW pay-per-views. I know on the network they have tons of shows. The pay-per-views for ECW, I looked up a couple. They were only 2 hours.
That's a good amount of time.
I think 2 hours.
Which one? Wait, what are you talking about? WCW?
ECW.
Those must be heavily edited if that's the case, because those usually went the 2 hours and 45 minutes.
I saw a couple. Maybe it might have been another show. Like there might have been like Living Dangerously or something like that. I wasn't like a big ECW guy. I don't know exactly how long they were, but I think because Dan, what time what time is ring bell? What time is opening match
Bell
on the
time?
Sunday? Yes, bell time.
At the Garden?
Yes,
5.
5 p.m. sharp. So
Oh, that's what they'd like us to believe. I don't know.
So do you think that it's over by 7:30 or?
I'd probably guess 7:30ish.
Yeah.
So let's say last match ends at 7:30. You're probably back here by 8:30, roughly.
Depends on who goes, if we drive, if we tee it. As Linda Moratti says, when it comes to things like transportation and amusement park lines, I almost turn superhuman when it comes to how quick I can move all of a
Very
sudden
motivated,
to
eh?
avoid lines.
I feel like we're going to be watching the main event. We're going to be watching the main event. And
Motivated
it's
in movement.
2 minutes to the finish, we're going to hear, "Hey, everybody, I'm back."
Ka-clunk, 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 ka-clunk. Wait a minute, Dan must be coming. Ka-clunk,
Just in
ka-clunk.
time for the sign-off.
I'm here,
Yeah.
guys. I saw that chance. X-Pac is cleared
And
to
that-
go, and what a better talent. I don't
And
know.
that Slamboree show, I'm sorry. I just
no,
want to
go
say that Slamboree show, I looked up, I believe that's a 2-hour, 45-minute show.
That's about right. I
Yeah,
think.
I say. I'm sorry, Dan.
That's okay. Chance on Sunday night, the World of WWE will be live at the Garden for a super show featuring the superstars of Raw and SmackDown. If you watch some of our talk shows, I'm sure you've seen the commercial that has been running for it. I believe the main event is, well, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if Roman will be cleared to go, but
That's true.
a COVID-free Roman Reigns and the Usos were slated to face King Woods, Sir Kingston, and Drew McIntyre in the main event. Tickets are on sale now, plenty still available. Isn't it sad that it was one of the lowest attended events in wrestling history at Madison Square Garden the night after Christmas?
I heard that, huh?
This past Christmas? How many
Couple
people?
weeks ago.
Were there 5,000 folks, or maybe under?
With comps, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't
What?
get.
And I mean, I was talking to a friend in WWE who I'm certainly not going to name, but it was just very depressing.
Very demoralizing.
Very depressing.
Yeah.
That they couldn't open up more than the lower bowl. I mean, that
You know-
day after Christmas, MSG House
Sure.
Show was good for, even during the bad times, 10, 11, 12,000, if not a sellout.
Here's what I don't understand about MSG shows is that New York is a city of how many people?
8
A
million?
lot.
8 million. And they could, and there are some shows, like you said, that they can't even get 6,000 in the door. And
Well, that's a rarity, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, this is a different time anyway. You know, the city is experiencing a lot
how
of,
is
you know.
WWE? I
Right.
mean, thank God for the television deals, because if they didn't have their TV deals with the ratings they have, with the house show attendances, they would be losing money maybe. Think about it. How they're making
Well,
record
it's
profits
not, you know
every
what,
year.
the way their pay structure is set up, it's hard for them to lose money. Because you just don't pay out as much.
On the network deals, like USA, like.
No, I'm saying if you said if they didn't have these TV deals, if they were going by events based upon the house, they're paying a percentage of the house.
Right.
So they'd literally have to lose money on the live event for them to lose money, because they just pay out less. I mean, there were times when the guys would take a draw, 200, they used to get, I think they still do it, you can get $200 a night to help with your expenses and have it taken out of your check. They were making more on the draw than they were on the show.
Yeah.
But a show like
Rarity
MSG,
again, but it happened. What's that now?
But an MSG show like they just ran, where they lose money on that?
MSG at 5,000, I could see the potential.
So how are they making record profits? Is it just the network deals that they have in place? Because the business isn't that.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're talking about between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT just in the United States alone. That's about pretty close to 6 million a week. The network deal in the United States alone with NBC Peacock is at 200 million a year. So that's what, about 4 million a week. If you want
Saudi
to break it
Arabia
down per week,
trips.
that's just the United States.
Yeah.
They could run shows and let everybody in for free, and they'd still be making record profits.
But what I guess what I'm trying to say is that there was a time, I know obviously it's a changed world now, that they're not making money based on their attendance figures. I feel like they're
press.
making money based on the deals they've signed with networks as opposed
Oh,
to
yeah.
what they're. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, they're still above the rock bottom days of the mid-'90s.
We had a discussion
not by a
once,
giant
Dan.
amount.
You told me that WWE Today would love to have 1995 TV ratings, but 95 WWF would want to have the attendances, like the big WrestleMania shows, and they'd want to have the Saudi Arabia shows. They want to have the network deals because USA was not giving them as much money back in 1995 for Raw.
They had no guaranteed money in 1995. It was a revenue split on the commercials.
Really?
There
And
was
now,
nothing guaranteed. It was almost, in some cases, almost like an infomercial.
and now,
Try and promote pay-per-views and try and get people excited when the live shows
yep,
would come to
build
town.
I mean, there was a
storylines.
time when Raw was on
Hey,
Spike.
Ken, how are you, buddy?
You know, that was for a few years. They went to
Yeah,
Spike.
that was when the first time they got the guaranteed money. That's what led to a lawsuit because, how did it go? USA had the right to match any deal that WWF had. But Spike TV, I think, was owned by, or TNN at the time, was owned by CBS, and they were able to include things like the book deals and things like that USA couldn't match.
What kind of book deals exactly?
You know how the guys were doing autobiographies and things like that.
Like Eddie
So they-
Guerrero, Eric Bischoff. Yeah.
Right. So they were able to include things that USA couldn't, and that's why USA lost the lawsuit, and WWF wound up going to TNN for 5 years before they went home to USA.
What made them go back? Was it just a better deal on the?
More money. USA was
Rose
the
to
premier
prominence.
cable network.
Oh, I will.
I just gave you a thank you, Ken. What are you talking
I
about?
got it. I got it. I think one of your batteries came out. It did. The battery came out?
The battery.
Oh, we got a mic down.
No, wait a minute. John C., we may need you, C. I don't know.
We got a mic down. Hold on. Let me see what's going on with this one.
Treasury, I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there, John.
battery.
See, I can't see. It may not be fit for television.
Hold on.
It's above board.
It's just,
Yeah, exactly, J.A. Cincinnati and Buffalo are small
I
market
didn't.
teams,
It fell,
but TV
but a battery
makes
came
them
out. I don't know
competitive.
where this battery came from. But there's no way that the battery would have came out of here, so I'm not sure.
Maybe it was just an extra battery. That,
Might have been.
Oh, that's a
are there
curious
two
development.
batteries?
It's
Is it?
on.
It's on, I
Yeah,
think.
so am I
Is
looking at
the,
it?
go in there and make sure that we can hear them.
Perhaps through this accident we found a new battery.
Maybe, you know, I mean.
One of the cups is filled with nothing but batteries.
Oh.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
John? Can you hear me? Oh, good.
Yeah,
John
maybe,
C., was that an affirmative?
That was an affirmative.
All right.
Fonzie, thumbs up.
I'm disappointed John C. wasn't doing his hair. He was looking fancy for a couple of weeks. Very fancy.
I would take it to.
Good hair days.
I would take this battery home for one of my toys, but I already have new batteries. So.
Well, what kind of toy are we talking about?
Oh, you know, personal use.
Personal. All right, well,
You know.
all right. Thank you, Chance. I'm glad.
Is it near a picture of Deborah McMichael?
Someone tell me where Charlie Wilson got that hat.
That hat? What hat?
What show are you watching?
Are they confusing? No. I've got a hat.
Oh, that's not Charlie Wilson with the hat. That's it rhymes
DeCesare.
with Treasury, Phil DeCesare. That's how I keep remembering how to pronounce it.
Sometimes I get these random text messages from Dan that goes, like Treasury.
Because to me, it was Phil DeCesaro for quite a while.
He would send me pictures of Cesaro doing the.
There he is. He's ready.
I loved it. It was hilarious.
We went to, speaking of Cesaro, we went to an event, and it was a draft event in Worcester, and it might have been the 2016
Yeah,
one.
July of 16. Yep, they
Yeah.
did Providence for
In
the
Worcester.
Raw, and then SmackDown in Worcester.
Were you at the Worcester building that night? as well?
I don't know how many posters of that event that the venue sent to try and help promote it.
But were you there that night?
Yes,
I
I
was-
was. I was with NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes.
You were at the Centrum?
He was with us that night. Him and his I don't know if it was his girlfriend's little brother or
His rat, as you'd say?
no, it was his girlfriend.
Yeah, Dan calls everyone rats.
No, I don't.
Which I hate
no,
that
no,
term.
no, no.
I think it's a
I love
terrible
the
term.
term, but it has to be used.
It devalues what we of the women
It has
who
to be
help-
used properly.
Yeah. Okay. And if they're a
true
gold
rat
digger,
is a
if
rat.
they're a gold digger, I think they're a rat.
If they're if it's a girlfriend or a spouse, they are not rats. And it was either her little brother or her son. I don't remember which, but Christian Casanova, as he was known around here, he'd come to a lot of the shows.
Yeah.
I remember him being there in Worcester that night with us. And the night before, along with Hustle and Casanova for the tickets, was also a Ring of Honor superstar up until 2 days ago, Flip Gordon. So everybody loved the Marathi comps.
He threw me
Nice.
out of a ring one time.
On purpose?
In a
or-
battle royal.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did you flip?
I didn't flip over. I sort of like kind of grunted over.
Grunted.
Well, I was like, "Arr," you know.
Much like Ric Flair is about to right now as Sting put his hands around his throat. He's
Now, you
get-
think Ric Flair was on a helicopter making little circular motions with an appendage at this time?
At the Marriott later, I think.
Maybe after a couple drinks.
He's got that Remco AWA action figure outfit on, Phil.
I remember those. I wish I got a couple of those.
Those are worth big money.
know.
Those. Big money.
I know.
Ric Flair had an AWA action figure?
He did, yeah. From his limited appearances
Yeah.
in the AWA.
What does he look like? Was it how he looked like at the beginning of his career?
A 280-pound Ric Flair.
Oh, gosh.
Every one of them
90
had 8 packs, with the exception of a couple like Abdul the Butcher. But they all had the same body. Their arms and legs all did the same thing, just slightly different heads.
Yeah.
I think he was in a 2-pack, if I remember right, Phil.
No
With
kidding.
Larry Zbyszko.
Oh, wow.
And they had I remember the robes that they used to have was so much better than the WWF action figures.
Yeah.
That was one thing that really stood out. They didn't really differentiate much as far as the actual figures went, but their robes and accessories were out of this world. I mean, he had a really, really, really nice white Ric Flair robe with
Sure.
his AWA action figure. And Zbyszko, I think, had a red one. Most guys had some kind of an accessory that came with it that was very nice.
I should look out for those at the flea market.
Chance, maybe I should get tickets to SummerSlam and be the live Boston Wrestling correspondence there. You're going to be in Nashville, Chance.
They're going to do it at the end of July this year, July 30th. I
The
think.
first time it's never been in August.
Very interesting choice.
Oh, SummerSlam, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. You know, they really want to build that Labor Day show up as something special.
For what? Wembley, I think it is. They're trying to do.
Whatever stadium they're able to get.
And yet in Europe.
Yeah, for the third. I don't know why they just for the 30th anniversary of SummerSlam '92 just don't call it SummerSlam, but to each his own.
SummerSlam back to the 30 years later or something like
Yeah.
that. You know.
My opinion on Bret Hart, I thought he was excellent. I thought he was very good. In the ring, fair promo. I don't think he was a great draw. He was steady. He was reliable.
One of my favorites, personally. I loved his work. I could still watch it all day long.
One of Charlie's favorites.
Great ring gear, great psychology. I love him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
There's some guys that I could watch all day long, and Bret's one of them.
A lot of variety.
A lot of variety. You know, it was a guy I could watch all day long, and I put him right at the top as a worker, and people may give me a side eye. I would say Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor was what?
Terry Taylor is a guy I could watch all day long as a worker.
I thought you were going to say one of the greatest of all time.
No, but I thought he was underrated. I thought he was very underrated.
No, solid. I mean, look at where he is right now.
Yeah.
Very, very, very solid hand.
Yep.
He's someone that there should be a place for on any wrestling show. Not a lot of personality. Not a great promo, but very, very solid. Always a good match, unless he was in there with someone terrible.
Did you have any when you were watching fella or back in the day that you look back and say, I think they were just criminally underrated? I mentioned someone like a Terry Taylor, but is there someone that you're like, I was a big fan of this guy, but not anyone else really seemed to be a big fan?
You know,
Kind of like the deep cut sort of wrestlers that you're just like, they weren't everyone's favorite, but you had a special affinity for.
I got to think about that one. I have to think about that.
You know, Michael, as Phil thinks, that's actually a pretty good analogy. The AWA figures were a lot like the He-Man, because I was a big He-Man guy as a kid, and almost every He-Man figure had the same body and the same.
Yeah, Skeletor and He-Man, they all are built alike.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Well, back to Phil's thought of the night. What have we got?
Who do I think was perhaps criminally underrated or
You're a
perhaps
big-
appealed to me and didn't appeal to the masses, huh? That's a good question. Well, Buddy Landell was great, obviously, but he had his demons, and I think he was great in the ring. And of course, you know, he didn't have enough time to shine in the main spotlight, sadly, through his own fault. But
I think
he
part
was
of that was his
a
gimmick,
great
too.
worker, and he and Taylor had some good. Terry Taylor had some good matches in Crockett and during those years. So definitely one of them. Brad Armstrong, obviously, I thought he would have been, you know, something even bigger, you know, and he should have been.
I mean, you talk about, God, Terry Taylor. Look at someone like Brad Armstrong, who basically did nothing other than enhancement work his entire career in anywhere of any importance.
Yeah.
And he was excellent. Like
Super
you just
skilled.
said, excellent.
Had a great look, great ability, and
If he only had his brother's in-ring persona.
yeah, they say he was a funny guy when
In
the
real
cameras
life,
were off.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and he never translated that on screen.
I heard the Armstrongs, each Armstrong had a special gift, but none of them had
Not
it
like
all
Lanny
around.
Poffo.
What's that?
Not
Well,
like Lanny Poffo.
Lanny Poff, of course. You know what? If he sat in this chair and was able to use his gift for the audience, I think that you would have 1 million subscribers.
I don't know if YouTube would allow us to be on the air the next day.
You got to go to
but
Brazzers at that point. You got to go to a different
poor
channel,
Lanny.
brother.
Well, Lanny's enjoying Ecuador.
Well, good for him.
Much more privacy for his servicing.
What do you guys think of this match? I'm really liking this match. I really loved it when I watched it a few
Boy,
months
the
ago.
athleticism of Sting, though, all those leapfrogs, that high elbow, that's great camera work.
He's
I mean,
still moving around. He's not blown up.
Flair's, you know, Flair obviously can make anyone look awesome, but
Flair took a
Sting
bump
was,
and I don't know
Sting
where
really
they
came a long
from.
way.
Well, it was Sting's night. It was his coming out party. It was a
Yeah.
big one for him.
You know,
I would have loved to have known, even with the business WWF did for WrestleMania 4, how much more business they would have done if this wasn't on television.
yeah.
And if this was on pay-per-view, Like, let's say Starrcade could have gotten on pay-per-view, and then Bunkhouse could have gotten on pay-per-view. If this had gotten on pay-per-view, what could this have done?
I think they would have been smart enough to realize, you know what, we probably shouldn't run a pay-per-view the same day as WWF WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, AEW, do they run shows the day of a WWE pay-per-view? Well, now it's on the network, but what's
No, they've never run the same day.
Yeah, but when's the next AEW pay-per-view? That's probably coming up soon, right?
March 5th in Orlando, and our resident president of Boston Wrestling Sports, Dr. David Reese, is hoping to be there now that he is
That's right.
in charge of the mental health department
wellness,
of
yeah,
AEW.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he's going to have his work busy with some of those nut jobs down there.
He's, you know, he certainly can't get into specifics, due to HIPAA, but he's been a busy man from what he told me.
I think
I know I've referred a couple of talents to him.
AEW, I don't know what it is about their wrestlers, but a lot of those guys, it just seems to me, maybe I'm being the old timer here at 29, I feel like if they had to break in 1989, they would not have gotten to wrestling. That they should be happy that it should be what it is for them today, because I feel like some of them aren't mentally that strong. Like, they're on Twitter, they're on, doing all these tweets and talking about this and that, and it just seems like a lot of them are looking for attention.
Look at the one that just left WWE the other night. Sorry, Matthew, I was off by a day. March 6th, ass face, as I'm called. Do I have the face of an ass?
No, you have a beautiful
Would
face.
Annie eat me?
Annie would eat you.
All right, thank you.
Annie would eat you and spit you out.
No one would ever lock you in Stone Zoo, Dan.
Thank you. Well,
They might lock you
we'll
in a
have to wait and
basement,
see
though.
what happens with you and Quincy when you go on
I
your
look
tour.
forward to that. That
They
would be
might lock you down a
fantastic.
well. When you wake up, you hear, like Treasury.
Dan has the most underrated Chic impression. Well, thank you, Bickenback.
Oh, you mean the rapist?
Please. Papa. No, I've seen Chic in every possible light you could see him in. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the uglier.
Did he try to pay for food with 8x10 promo pictures?
Who?
Sheiky?
Did he try and pay who?
Would he try to buy food or with
Oh,
8x10s?
the night of the car accident. Well, the afternoon of the car accident. He thought because he signed 8x10s and posed for photos, his meal was supposed to be free. Well, probably almost like Quincy. But they would have got along good, the two of them.
Quincy's a worker.
Can I put a turban on him and call him the Iron Quincy? The Iron Rastani?
Sure. I bet that Newt's pretty solid.
The Newt?
Well, it's turning into a Chris Christie now. It's getting so
I call
thick.
him the HBF, Heartbreak Fupa.
Well,
As Wumpus?
Yeah, he's got a...
yeah,
I love the shirt he wore last Thursday, though.
Well, that's the shirt he wears every Thursday, so don't be surprised if you see it again on Challenge. He does. He has one outfit for 7 days of the week, and they don't change.
Well, John C. Manicus did something with the screen and the color distortion, and it temporarily changed the color of Quincy's
people
shirt
thought
for a
they
bit.
were high watching Quincy on Challenge.
I thought I had some of that special chocolate for a
When I
minute.
talk to Quincy, I feel high after a while.
Well, him and John Nord, I think we can just kind of sit back and watch. I think that's going to be a thing of beauty.
A meeting of the minds.
Quincy! Get your...
What territory did you break into, Quincy? With Uncle Al.
I wonder if they're related. We should do a 23andMe or something.
Rastani and Nord.
The funniest thing is I
Forget
sit
about
next to him
Sting and
sometimes,
Flair.
and literally, like, Dan will say something, he'll be like, yeah, you're a hustler there, Quincy, in his old-timey gangster voice. And I look over at Quincy, and you see Quincy's gargoyle smile kind of pop up.
Well, he knows. It depends on his mood. Sometimes he's a little, as the fans say, cantankerous.
Yes.
He can be a little feisty, but sometimes when he's in a good mood, he'll come out and through facial expressions admit that he's a hustler.
Oh, no, and you know what? I like Quincy as a person.
It was almost like a Jaws. He almost turns into a Navy SEAL, crawling on the floor looking for damaged boxes of Cheez-Its and Pringles to bring to the customer service desk to try and get a discount. It's a sight that needs to be seen.
Picture you sent me of him looking for chicken
Under
nuggets
barbed
out of
wire.
his
Now,
mouth.
picture him on the floor on his stomach,
Sure.
going through the Cheez-Its and the Pringles, trying to find damaged cans and boxes.
One time I walked in, he had on the table out there a quart of milk and bugles.
Bugles.
I would have thrown
That's
up.
the cereal, right?
No, it's like a certain kind of corn chip.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. But don't give him his next idea, please.
Sure.
You know, he does get that milk cough after a while. He needs to drink more
Yeah, he's
water.
like
Is that what it is? It's a milk
It's
cough?
a milk cough. That absolutely
That's why
is.
he has that cough,
It
is
is
because of the milk?
exactly, yes.
Oh, I can't wait to lay into him about that.
That's why I'm
He's
always...
had a cough for about 15 years.
That's a milk cough. He needs to drink more water. Once he needs a little more hydration.
I think the conversation needs to come from you, because he'll probably scream at me
Yeah.
if I try and tell him. Marty, mind your own
I have
business,
to tell you,
Marty,
one
for
of the most
Christ's sakes.
embarrassing dinners of my life was at the TGI Fridays at Everett.
Yeah.
Dan Marotti, Quincy Rustani, Marty Jannetty,
Socko,
our ring announcer,
and some
his-
vagabond.
and his vagabond friend Angelos.
Ah, that's right, Angelo. Yep.
Angelos.
Is that Gorilla Monsoon's, is one of them related to Gorilla?
Not of that group, but the one that was one of the security guards at the event on November 13th. He almost has kind of like a light bulb nose.
Okay.
It starts out normal and then kind of...
Funny enough, the
Luster
whole
light
show,
bulbs.
Socko had a friend with him the whole time, sitting at the little ring announcer table, and then he would go do his ring announcing job. He'd come back with his friends. So
He had was it one of our people or no?
I don't remember, but it was some guy. I wasn't one of our people. I don't think. I could
I'll
be
have to
wrong.
look at the footage.
I don't know exactly. It's not
I
a big
was
deal.
unfamiliar with that.
It's not a big deal. He just
Well,
would say-
maybe it's a big deal to me.
Yep.
You guys should do a
I just
live,
stooged apparently.
a live Monday night Raw watch along. You three should be the commentators. Wouldn't that be something? Well, maybe on a holiday week.
Need a lot of coffee for
Yeah,
that.
it's oh god.
Those
for that.
3-hour Raws are gonna. Oh. Quincy's been cantankerous on the regular with his Thursday night wrestling challenges. Is that skim milk? No, Matt, it is regular milk.
Red cap.
Red cap.
Guaranteed to induce heavy coughing.
So back.
I'm telling you, that's
So we're
what it is.
at this TJ Fridays.
Oh,
and
yeah, finish this now.
Now I like Fridays. Now here's the thing.
I do too.
Yeah, but not enough to not be, an irritant because.
Whoa. What did I do?
Let me ask you this. Remember how you were that night? And remember, now imagine being the way you were to Quincy at Kowloon. Would you have done the same thing?
What did I do?
You were basically poking the proverbial bear in Quincy.
How?
And you were like, Quincy, does Julie Earl leave back to her? And you go, Marotti, stop Marotti. Next to him is Marty. Marty is bothering the poor waitress. And anyone who walked by.
Now that was embarrassing.
That was the worst of it.
Telling her she
And
needed to go
sexually
to the gym.
Oh, really?
He told her she should go to the gym?
Remember that? Yeah, baby, if you go to the gym, honey. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was he right on that?
Can I get another
Well,
one of
she
those
was a-
French?
she was a-
One of those French fries, Quincy?
Oh,
sure.
he complains he's hungry all day, then he gets to the restaurant, doesn't eat a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Marty?
Marty.
Hey, David, how are you, buddy?
It was not a good day for Marty.
Rise, how are you?
Whenever I brought food, Marty doesn't eat, hardly ever eats.
It's
you
weird.
know?
It's weird. But he was there, and then but Marotti would finally, say something, and then he go, Marotti, will you shut the hell up? And then you just see him do his smile. And then you have Angelos and Fuckface, whatever his name
Socko.
is. Socko, who are just, there.
They're just enjoying the ambiance.
Just enjoying the ambiance. I don't know. Socko was always a little bit of a weirdo to me.
I think you just got to kind of get to know
I
him
have
a
to get
little.
to know.
Just quiet and understated. And
You know what it is, Phil? You're a very pleasant guy to talk to.
Thank
When you
you.
go up to Socko, he seems very angry. He's got a little bit of that Roma kind of
a little bit of a wall there.
a little bit of a Roma kind of vibe where he's a little angry when you don't,
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because Paul Roma took him to task.
That's what I heard. Maybe he gave him a little Roma.
That
Did he?
was the only thing that Socko ever did before joining our fine organization.
What did
and
he-
I guess he rubbed Paul Roma the wrong way, and Paul Roma gave him the Marotti treatment ×5.
Really?
And that was the end of that.
Oh, put under the rope.
I had a good experience with Paul Roma.
You
Did
told
you?
me, yeah.
I'll show you
yeah.
the picture, a couple pictures of Paul.
But Socko didn't. And he just doesn't seem like a very, I don't know, every time I talk to him, I feel like he's angry or something. I'm like, geez.
Well, people say that about me. Do
No,
I
you're
always seem
pleasant.
like I'm angry?
Not really. I mean,
thank you.
I can tell your moods, but for the most part, you're pretty jovial.
Anyone ever watch Seinfeld?
I am not
did.
going to be in a good mood the day of our events. I'll tell you that much. And even some of the days of superstar shoot interviews, I do get tense because I
Yeah.
want everything to come off
Everyone,
good.
Perfection.
there were two people I thought that were the absolute C words that day.
Socko and Neil.
Socko and Mulligan.
Well,
Tiger
you know what?
Mulligan was a little. Tiger Mulligan. was
Again, another.
Did you see Tiger
the-
Mulligan some 8x10s by the ring? On
Maybe the
I didn't see him.
personality.
No, I didn't see. I didn't talk to him.
The personality needs to be an acquired taste for both of them because I like them both, but I can understand that point of view, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
I didn't hate them. I just thought they were a little stunty.
They have their own personalities, and
Yeah.
you know what? Both of them are from the same area of Connecticut.
Maybe it's a Connecticut thing.
Maybe it
know.
was a carb thing, like you say. You know,
Yeah, they needed
carb deprivation.
But Bob Backlund was from Connecticut, and him
Well,
and
he's
his
from.
Glastonbury,
Yeah, him and
well,
his-
technically, he was born in.
Princeton, Minnesota.
him and his two guys were fine with me. I know Dan doesn't feel the same, but
But
I
Bob's
love
agent.
everybody.
Bob's agent.
I love how Bob's agent looked at me and said, "Hey, I know Dan hates me, but I was like, probably hates everyone at this point."
And have you ever heard me say anything bad about the guy?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
What did I say?
You said you don't like him.
I did?
That's not what you told me. You said he tries to hustle.
Well,
That's the nature of the business, I think.
Yeah, it's a bunch of carnies, you know.
And
I don't want to get into anything specific on the show, but
Bob was great. Backlund was fantastic.
My favorite
Oh.
legend, though, personally, out of all my dealings with all of them, was probably Bushwhacker.
Luke.
Yeah.
certainly wasn't Butch. It would have been a long
I'm
flight.
sorry, I had a brain fart there. It was Luke. Luke was my favorite. Oscar was a grump. PJ was just incredible. Was okay, but seemed kind of a little tired. Seemed a little out.
He was very tired when he came to the studio an hour late.
Apollo was fine. Just
Oh,
kind of
really? You actually spoke to him before he ran off?
briefly. He
Yeah,
was
that's good.
okay. I don't know how he stuck out with his doink gear on, but
No, he didn't. He took it off in the men's room.
And then Medusa was Medusa, lovely and
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
she
I'm
was
glad
very
you thought
lovely
so.
and she was very lively.
Lens crafters could make some good money off of you, but
What's that?
lens crafters could make some good money off of you. But
I think Dan's saying she's good from far, but far
And
from
then
good.
MJ was great.
No, I
MJ
don't
was good.
that was probably the best Marty's been in the 17 days we've spent with them since July of 2020.
Yeah, he was really
If he
good.
could only bring that here,
I have a prediction this year he will come back at some point.
I have no doubt he's going to come back. What
How-
bothers me is we had an agreement for him to come back in, I think it was December, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if he was drunk or whatever the situation was, but he completely changed the agreement we had. And then, you know what? I wasn't in the mood for that game. I wasn't playing that game. And instead, our good, long-time, close person, well, no, not too long-time, close personal friend, John Nord, took his spot, where he did not want to be anally violated by the Iron Sheik.
Well, do you? How is the Marty season 2 campaign
It's at about
going?
20%.
20%, and you can't do
We
anything
gotta
until
get
it's
it up.
100%.
We
Well,
gotta
I know
get it
some
up.
fans have
I
said
gotta-
they want to try and
I'm one
contribute
of
to
them.
it.
I've got
I
to-
know
Oh, good
that
for you.
Marty
Thank
can
you.
do
I've got to.
great
I
things.
haven't yet, but
I will never
I want
doubt
to make
that.
a good one.
He has got some great material. He has experiences galore that your mind can't
We're not
comprehend.
even to Rocker's breakup yet.
But there's only so much BS I'm going to take from any one person. And my problem with Marty is, I'll put it out there publicly. There were 3 days in 2021 where he was absolutely, completely, utterly useless and worthless and was still paid full value. You were here for one of them. One of them, he was, and granted it was part of the airline's fault, but another one he wasn't even here for at all and still paid full value. So I came up with an idea that I thought worked for both of us. Sober Marty thought it worked out great. And then a week or so later, when I was going to set up the airfare, drunk Marty didn't. So
I believe he's living in Clearwater, Tampa. Is that the same area?
I haven't spoken to him in a couple weeks. I don't know what's going
I
on
think he
with him.
moved
I'm
on to-
worried that he's.
I
No.
called left him a message, but I.
Well, until I get direct communication, I'm gonna, because that's the part of me that likes Marty, that I worry about him. He's a good guy. He's just battling some major problems, as you guys have seen. Some of the episodes he does are fantastic. Other ones, you'd think I was sitting with someone, in a homeless village somewhere near Fenway Park that had a little bit too much of the bourbon earlier in the day. And it's sad, because he's a good guy, and I think his shows, when they're good, can be excellent.
And I can't even imagine the outtake. I've been there for some of the outtakes, and they're the funniest. My God.
We could make some episodes just out of the outtakes,
Giving out people's phone numbers on air.
including his own.
Yep.
Sorry, guys, we haven't been in the chat, but we get very serious sometimes when we talk about the members of the Boston wrestling family. But, if you told me in the beginning of 2021, both him and Tony were going to go bye-bye for different reasons, I would have been very surprised. Especially Tony, who's broke, beyond broke.
Do you think that Tony would...
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Do you think Tony, though, he was on the show for so long, and it got to the point where he was talking about God knows what. Do you think he'd even be a positive contribution to the show at this point?
I think when he stuck to wrestling, yeah. I think part of his problem was he wanted to constantly drift into politics, and no one wanted to listen to it. Yeah. And then he made one big score with his theft, but what did it do for him for the rest of 2021?
Yeah. Sometimes if you take a piece of cheese, it kicks you out of the bakery forever, you know what I mean? So,
well, and then, Marty, like I said, I expect Marty to be back, but you know what? Marty probably could have used what he would have got if he was here in December an awful lot, where he's trying to find a new place to live,
Florida's not as cheap as it might be,
I just want Marty to get better. Marty's not a thief. He's a pain in the ass, but he's a good human being. I don't think there's a bad bone in his body. Look at Tommy Young trying to stop. I don't like this. The referee should not try and stop a maneuver like that.
It's just like the wrestlers putting their hands on the ref.
No, I don't like that at all, Phil. I don't remember this.
This match has been very good, though. Excellent, actually. Sting has really shown... Sting was actually really hitting his peak about this point.
These guys are both in great condition, not just visually, but I mean, they could go. They had good motors.
If Sting showed up like this at Starrcade 97, if Sting showed up like this at Starrcade 97, I don't know if Hogan could say he wasn't tan enough or wasn't in good enough shape. Even though he was at his most over at that time.
Sting technically was closer to Venice Beach, California than Hogan anyway,
yeah,
right? Hogan's from
very
Tampa,
true,
Sting's
very true,
from Nebraska or wherever,
Hogan?
No, Hogan was a Florida boy, or Georgia boy, born in Georgia. I grew up in Florida, but Sting's from Nebraska.
But didn't he grow up in California, though?
No, he grew up in Tampa, or some would say Tampa.
No, Sting. Didn't he grow up in California, though?
He was trained in Cali.
Yeah,
I know that
Red Bath Steen, I think.
And the man that's very forgotten about, my good friend Billy Anderson, who did enhancement work for WWF and was the ring announcer for some of the LA shows.
He's a Phoenix guy,
what a career!
Now he is,
Billy Anderson.
What a career he had.
Who, Billy Anderson?
Yes. Bill Anderson. No, because you never think of his name, but he did so many things in wrestling.
He's very true. He did a lot, I'll tell you, under a hood with FMW in Japan.
That's
with
what I'm saying.
Oneida, yeah.
He was almost like the fly on the wall everywhere.
Yeah.
He
just never got a big push on a national television
He
show.
worked a lot of territories that didn't have a lot of TV up in California. And
very
West Coast.
smart wrestling guy. I got to know him well through Billy Graham when we had our first, our great Billy Graham love affair here in Boston Wrestling MWF, and then when
how was Billy?
Billy, everything you've heard about and more.
Is that good and bad?
He stranded the transgender at John Cena Sr.'s home for a week.
He what?
Billy wanted to stay in the same hotel room. I shouldn't say that. This was suspect, but I thought it was Larry Bird. But anyway. Billy, at the Cauliflower Alley Club, Billy, even though he was married, his brain fell in love with this woman. And he thought by doing the fundraiser, now this was a fundraiser for, I don't know if you're familiar with the Mermaid Girl. But,
what year is this, are we talking?
This is in 09.
Oh, God.
The Mermaid Girl is was the only living mermaid in the United States. From her stomach down, her legs were fused together. Her 2 feet were fused together.
Yes.
There was no body parts for reproduction or to eliminate waste.
Sure.
And what we tried to do was, between Billy, us, and I say us, I mean myself and John Cena Sr., to give him full credit, and the Cauliflower Alley Club, was to try and raise enough money to get them to WrestleMania, the whole family, which turned into too much of a travel issue. So we got them to, I think it was Backlash at the Providence Civic Center, because I checked them into the hotel next door.
Yeah.
And then in June, which would have been 2 months later, we did a live fundraiser down with Piggott at Memorial Hall. And the Mermaid Girl didn't even want to come the day of the event, maybe because she knew Piggott was going to be there. I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny that
Your
part.
love affair with Piggott goes back that far.
But anyway, at the Cauliflower Alley Club at night in the casino, well, we're not going to be at the Gold Coast. We're going to be next year at the hotel that's known from Back to the Future. But at the Gold Coast Casino, there's an open-air TGI Fridays. And at night, we were hanging out with the TNA Knockouts, Billy Graham, Billy Anderson, myself, I believe Charlie's good friend Slow Douglas, 4-time MWF Tag Team Champion, was there for a lot of this.
Was this when you had dinner with Terry Funk and...
No, that was a different, yeah.
Okay.
I was with the Graham crew every night. And there were different people that would come in and out, but every night they'd have a table set for about 12 to 15 of us, just of the quote-unquote TNA girls and Graham...
The Phoenix Boys or
group.
whatever.
Yeah.
The Paradise Valley.
So Graham said it. I'll give Billy credit. He got all the TNA girls to come in just for airfare to the show we had in Melrose. And he was coming in. This is all June of '09. And this one that he fell for, I think she was the manager of AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels for like a week in TNA before they realized what a bad idea it was. It was like they found a flea market China. And anyway, Billy thought he was going to sleep in the same hotel with her for this week. And then once I guess it was realized that was not going to happen, Billy had to return to the Mayo Clinic. And because Billy thought they were going to have this great romantic week, Billy decided to book it so they came in days early and left days after the fact.
Yeah.
And I'm at work and I get a call on a Wednesday for a Saturday show that this individual is at the airport in Boston.
The superstar.
I didn't know what to do with her. But again, I'll give credit where credit is due. HBK himself,
Hey,
the
brother.
hey brother kid,
Hey, brother.
knowing that we needed a solution to the problem, said, you know what, brother? She can stay here. And he went into Logan Airport, picked her up,
more show at
and
this
brought
point,
her to
right?
the Cena residence. This was long before Majo. And you know what, for any bad thing you can say about Johnny, I will never forget that he did that. I was shocked that he did that because I didn't know what to do. I said, Johnny, we don't have the money in the budget. We're trying to send this girl to a summer camp for disabled children because she'd never left her home. And now Billy Graham is sticking us with this. I mean, even if it was a star, right, we wouldn't have had the money. Never mind someone that was not.
Yeah.
And it was, thank God for John Cena Sr.
But you weren't a fan of Billy Graham personally?
He was very charming, very nice. When he wanted to turn it on, he could turn it on.
Kind of like you a little bit.
And then I tell you, the ugly side of Billy Graham is uglier than you could imagine.
What's wrong with his ugly side?
He's ugly. Very
Vindictive?
ugly. What's that?
Vindictive?
Very much. Look at what he did to the WWF in 1992. He destroyed Pat Patterson's legacy.
Yeah.
People still believe a lot of the stories that Billy Graham went on to admit that he made up.
Oh, seeing the young child get sexually touched at the ring.
Yeah.
That was really shady. I thought that was bad of him to do. I mean, Billy Graham, hell of a legacy in wrestling, just for the few years, even just for the years in New York in the late 70s. But he was, definitely a little bit of a tainted
His
legacy.
own worst enemy. I can't believe WWF brought him back under some kind of...
A Legends deal. He just signed a deal recently with them.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, I'm surprised he's still alive because of all the health issues he's
He
had.
should have died 6 or 7 times at least.
In the last 10 years, sure.
In the last 40-some-odd years, there was a rumor
It's
back in the
unbelievable.
early 80s that he had passed.
Yeah, well, that was
And
Gorilla Monsoon writing about it in the newspaper.
That's right,
Yeah.
yep.
Nope, Sting. Wow, look at that splash attempt. Yeah, Sting right there.
These guys are really pulling out of the stops. This is a long.
We're talking about Billy Graham, the superstar. Yeah, Baboon, we were just mentioning that. He signed some kind of an ambassador deal. They're not for a lot of money, so he's not striking it rich. But, hey, you know what? Even if he has one of those $500 a week deals, it's
really,
$500 more than
Yep,
we have coming in otherwise.
right on.
I'd take it.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to, Charlie? over
Oh,
there?
my friend Shanice.
Your French niece?
Shanice.
Your what?
My friend Shanice.
Oh, your friend Shanice.
Yes.
That's an
I thought you
exotic
said
name.
your French niece.
No, my friend Shanice. She's not. She's a friend, not as you would say a rat or anything like that. No, she's
There's been
very
no
nice.
activity that's gone on.
She's I wouldn't say she's exotic. She's half
She's
black. and
exotic.
She's half black, half white. I wouldn't say that's exotic.
Well,
The name is. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know her from Eve. You know.
Yeah, or
no, Phil's ready to meet her. Look at Phil.
alas.
Phil's ready to meet her.
Want me to say come
Don
on down and meet
Baba, how
Phil?
are you, brother?
She's a little young. She's about 29, so I think she might be a little too young for you, Phil.
Not for me.
No,
Yeah, Billy Graham got a liver transplant in 2002, Paul said. We believe it or not, we did a fundraiser for him too to help raise some money. And involved in that effort was the governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
So we should add him to the alumni list, even though we dealt with him indirectly. It was his office more than Billy, but Arnold was a help. Queen Bench, how are you? Roy W., how are you? Are you all watching along with Clash of the Champions 1? As Sting is fighting with everything he has to
Yeah.
become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
And you know it's a long match when Sting has no war paint left. His makeup is off.
Same with Warrior and guys like that.
Yeah.
Sting must have had better paint because Warriors matches weren't long. and it
That's
would
true.
show.
I don't know if it was just maybe he had more money for gear and food. He seemed to be a little smaller here than he was in 91, 92. Seemed like he gained some size in that
Sting?
time. Yeah, I think he gained. he got a
Well,
little
I'm
bigger.
sure he wasn't under a big money contract in 87 or 88, early 88.
Oh, in the 80s when they first came on the scene, he was a house and a half. He
Yeah,
was
but
oh
they
my
weren't making
Lord.
much, so I think they kind of lost some size. But
Well, let me tell you, potatoes can go a long way,
Yeah.
not the in-ring kind either.
He needed to be slighter, I think.
I do.
When
Yeah.
he was all gassed up in those Memphis and
Yeah.
Bill Watts days, when he was the same size as the Warrior,
Yeah.
he was too big. He was better off being flexible.
Bill
Absolutely.
Anderson said that right before those guys went out, he said we have two options. We can go to Stampede because they'd send out promo packages. They can go to Stampede or they can go to Memphis. And Bill Anderson said go to Memphis. You won't make much, but you'll work. It's warmer and you'll work more in Memphis. And as a young wrestler, I probably would have rather gone to Memphis than Stampede at that time too.
For sure.
At 85, yeah, I would have rather gone.
Now, wait a minute, we have a time limit draw,
Especially
ladies
in
and
late
gentlemen.
November. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to Canada in November.
No way.
I'll go to Tennessee.
Maybe in the summer for the annual Stampede that they had, that might be a fun experience.
Summertime, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the winter, though.
But Memphis, I mean, yeah, but they weren't there long. They were there for 6 weeks, and they went to Watts. I think they were both with Watts. Sting was with Watts till he sold it, and
Warrior wasn't there as long, to be kind.
He didn't want to be handled that way.
Isley, thank you for watching the New Jack interviews. We appreciate it.
They're lowering JJ right now.
JJ is coming out of the shark tank, or whatever that's called, that Vince loves to label it as so much.
But my gosh.
Oh, Roy, this is your first watch along. Well, thank you for joining us. It was a heck of an event that went head to head with WrestleMania 4.
But I noticed something about Flair. He never really liked to put over guys definitively. He always put over guys with roll-ups and things like that. No one ever just hit Flair with their move or their finish. And Brett pinned him. Brett made him submit for the world title
Saskatoon.
in Saskatoon, but wouldn't do it on a pay-per-view.
Right.
So there was something always. Flair never really liked to lose definitively. No, he didn't. I don't know what that was
Well,
about.
we're going to get the judges' decisions right here.
Oh,
From
that's
Tom
right.
Miller.
I forgot they went to the.
It's 1 vote for Rick out of 5.
One of those, that's a penthouse pet.
Yes, the girl in the middle, I think, if you can't tell.
I bet she was pet after the event.
I recognize the staple in her belly button.
1 for Sting. We're tied at 1 apiece.
I love that blonde flat top. I thought that's such a cool look. The
Yeah.
flat top in general is such a cool
Much
hairstyle.
better than that dark look he had.
Really? I like the dark shaggy. I'm kind of going for that myself. I'm going for 95 diesel, technically.
I know you are.
Yeah, 95 diesel.
I had that before.
Yeah, the 95 diesel look with
I had the 95 diesel.
the waves. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Well, it was voted as a draw. One of them voted for a draw. They couldn't find a decisive winner after the hour. And as is the case,
Great match, great show.
the world champion retains.
Do you want to do the rankings of how you did a scale of 1 to 10?
I am surprised that it flew by so quick. We could have started this at 7 easy.
I'm going to go with an 8. Maybe 7.5. We'll go
I think,
7.5.
are they missing matches from this, Phil?
I don't know.
I remember the Sheep Herders on this show.
Were they on this particular one with Jack Victory too, I think?
You know what? Screw it. Usually I don't like to Google, but
Go to the Google machine.
I'm going to Google.
Now, before you do, tell us what JR looks like again here.
One of the Campbell Soup twins.
That's what it is. I love that reference.
And I don't think it's necessarily wrong. But,
Right.
if,
that-
Bell's
this was
policy, if Bell's policy did anything from him, it knocked the Campbell out.
Yeah.
And poor JR, this was actually him, and I think at his prime. I think Jim Ross did his best work in the 80s and early 90s.
No, I'm wrong. It was not on this show. For some reason, I thought the Sheep Herders were on it.
Sheep Herders later being the Bushwhackers.
Correct. It was a 6-match show. Oh, well.
And as Luke was recounting,
I'm glad I didn't ask him what it was like to be on the first Clash when he was here in studio.
he was recounting the riot in Rhode Island. I remember there's a newspaper article about that. They were actually arrested for helping create a riot.
I had him and Marty in my car at the same time, and with Smokey.
That must have been an interesting conversation.
with Tania in the back. Just
She's nice.
Yeah, she was very, very nice, very lovely woman. But I had both of them in my car, and I go imagine if Dan was a fly on the wall for this car ride, what he would think.
Why is that?
Because just the two person, and they're just talking about whatever, and and then eventually it was, who did I have? It was Medusa in there, along with Marty and Luke, and that was interesting.
Should have told her to take a cab.
Virgil Reynolds.
I feel like you would have told her to walk. You're like, hey, you better get over there.
Well, Phil, I'll ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you
Crockett.
give tonight?
I got 7.5.
I'm in the high 7. I'm in the high 7, bordering on 8. Definitely. Well, anyway, a solid 7 plus. I think maybe. For nostalgia again, I just seeing all these guys in their younger years, I think that might do something for me too. And just amazing Sting's still working today.
I think if we watched WrestleMania 4 along with it tonight, I'd probably go higher. But I'll go 7. I'll go a solid 7.
7 is fair.
So I think we all liked it an awful lot.
And that's good because sometimes we've given shows like 4s and 5s, and
Last night was definitely a 5 night.
And I love how, yesterday you were watching a 3.5-hour show. I tuned in a couple of times. I think you were still. What time did you leave here last night?
See, what time did we leave here last night?
Had to be after 11.
10-ish at least. Sure.
About 11, yeah.
Yeah, that's a late night.
So it was pretty close to being a 3-hour show. It was longer if you count the pre-show. Who's that? Ted Arcidi? What's this?
Is that Lyle Alzado?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Before he
Who's
got
that
all.
Bozark that he's with?
I don't know.
Well, fans, we're watching it. Don't listen to us. This is going to be a watch-along for the future. But I like the old-style limousine stuff.
We could
classic.
probably get. How long would it take us to get all through all the clashes, Dano?
Well, if there's 33 of them, I'm going to guess 33 nights.
Well, over the course of a year. Can we do it over the course
It
of a year?
depends on how often we do it.
Yeah.
I
Is
know
that Gary Jester?
One clash a
promoter?
month would be about 3 years almost, but that's.
Well, you don't want to go back to the Thursday nights, and
Oh God.
you'd have to battle for it, I think, at this point.
I've clashed with Charlie a wrestling challenge with.
I don't think Quincy's given up wrestling challenge easily.
I think Quincy would. Well, how long's a clash?
I would
compared to
no. When it comes to Quincy, he will never do a show of anything of any relevance because he doesn't know any of the wrestlers. He doesn't know anything that's going on.
Yep.
Challenge was a show that was pretty much angle-free, all squash matches.
could do a
And
It's
aptly
it's
named.
perfect for him.
You could do a TNT,
A
Tuesday Night Titans with him. How many do they do with Tuesday Night
I
Titans?
think that loses its charm. That show lost its charm, which is why it wasn't on all that long.
How long were they? 2 years?
I don't even think it was that long.
What did it switch to, Prime? Did it become
It switched,
Prime time?
yeah. Well, no, but I think they were both on simultaneously for just a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah, Prime time is on Monday.
And then they realized, they actually want to see wrestling and not Vince interview the same people over and over and over
Vince
again.
playing Johnny Carson. That's what it was.
If they did it once in a blue moon, maybe as like a special
Novelty
before a
thing.
pay-per-view, if they
Yeah.
had 4 pay-per-views a year then, that might have been kind of fun. But for 52 of them a year,
That's a lot. So,
I wasn't even a fan when it was on, but just from what I've seen of it, it's just not my cup of tea.
yeah.
But you guys at home, can you rank Clash of Champions for us from 1 to 10? John C., did you have it on in there? I even left it on for you on the computer so you could enjoy the action that was the first Clash of Champions. John C.'s giggling at me right now. All right. David Chan, you're right. All he needs is the purple shirt. Imagine how over Quincy would be with the purple shirt. People love him in the salmon, but in the purple, he would be unstoppable. The pimpin' purple shirt. The Godfather would be jealous.
Give him a purple
Do you
nurple.
like his salmon colored shirt a little bit more?
It's very different. Usually, he had like a Colonel Mustafa type outfit that he was wearing. He was all sand colored. But again, he has 7 different outfits, and he wears the same outfit each day of the week for that particular day.
Is that underwear included and socks
I
as well?
cannot confirm or deny that. Only those that see him run through the house naked with the pile of clothes.
So you give a 7.5, at least a 7, and what do you give Dan?
I give it a 7.
Okay.
Rise gave it a 6. Matthew McKell gave it a 7. Roy gave it an 8.
This looks like such a good match.
So you know what? I don't think anyone disliked it. Did anyone dislike the Clash without giving it a number?
Oh yeah.
J.A. saw it live in
Return.
'88. He gives it a 7 out of 10. Too many press slams by Sting
There were a
in
lot.
those 45
Yeah,
minutes.
the gorilla press that he loved to do.
Now here's my question. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but maybe the wrestling encyclopedia can enlighten me.
Who was the wrestling encyclopedia? Phil? Oh, okay. All right.
Funk and Wagnall, Terry Funk and
Like Treasury. So Sting and Wyndham and Luger beat Tully and Arn for the tag titles at this show.
yeah.
And they would eventually, very soon after, Wyndham would turn on Luger. But why would he turn, even though him and Luger are the champs? Wouldn't it make sense to have the turn that they're going after the titles and they can't do it? So Wyndham's like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. Because they were champs, and then he turns on them in that match. I either think they lost the titles or he turned on them in the match where they lost the titles. I can't remember exactly. I think it was...
Was the reason he turned because they lost?
I think they were tag champs in the match, and he turned, and they lost the titles that way.
They lost the titles as a result of it.
I think so. I think that's how it works. So I just didn't, that part of the angle didn't make sense to me. If they had lost the tag titles,
Yeah.
and then they were trying to get them back, and Wyndham's like, I can't win with Luger.
Right.
That was a fluke. Maybe that would make more sense.
Yeah.
But I can't really...
Well, storylines made more. I want to say they made more sense. So they're more consistent, and they weren't scrapped halfway through. Like the kind of can be now.
Because I think Wyndham joining the Four Horsemen kind of put him as a number, because I think he would have been, especially after Magnum's accident, I know Dusty and him had issues, but I think he would have been a great world champion in '88.
You know what it was?
Barry Windham?
Yes.
I think he too thin.
You could always bulk him up a little bit with some sauce.
Yeah, you could.
Look
You
at me
could.
on the gas.
Well,
Well, he's Blackjack's kid, and Blackjack definitely.
And later, Barry did
was a
blow up
very
in a bad
thick
way.
man.
He got
Yeah.
really, hefty. Look at him in '96 as the Stalker. He was 36 years old. He looked
Yeah.
like he was almost
10 years older at least.
Jesus
Yeah.
H.
You would never guess that he was that young.
He looked decent up until about 92 or 3, and then after that, it was...
Even in '93, he was.
Well, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't that great.
Well,
It
it wasn't top of the card material, I guess is the best
Do you
way
think he
to
was
put
as
it.
good of a worker in '93 as he was in '88?
Oh, no.
No,
Wait,
it was
please.
just the injuries and the whatever. He had a bad knee.
the motivation.
I don't want to say that.
But again, he wasn't drawing.
He was after his entry into the business. It was almost like he'd come in, he'd make enough money to buy a nice new car and pay off the house for a while, and then he'd vanish again. Yeah. And that's pretty much how he played out the rest of his career.
Yeah.
He'd come and he'd go, he'd come and he'd go, he'd come and he'd go, he'd come and he'd go. He was one of the more shocking bookings of Tony Rumble ever, in my opinion. But
Really? What year did he come in for that?
September of '98.
Oh,
And Tony
okay.
was very, very smart with what he did. He made Barry the NWA New England champion, and I don't know what the particular reasoning was.
Didn't they beat him
but
right
as soon
after?
as the match was over, yeah, they did a 10-second type quote-unquote rematch where we had something Barry getting pinned on video in case he vanished.
Oh, yes,
And believe it or
yes.
not, at the time, Barry was one half of the NWA World Tag Team Champions with Tully Blanchard when they were trying to bring the NWA back to life.
In
Yeah.
'98.
Yeah, and Barry bolted the NWA as the tag team champion. And when we had, well, not we, but when we were part of the NWA 50th anniversary in beautiful Cherry Hill, New Jersey,
that
in
04?
October of '98, Tully Blanchard had to, even though he was champion, had to team up with Tom Pritchard in a
Dr. Tom.
four-way,
Yeah.
and they lost the titles to NWA New England's own Eric Sprazier and Knuckles
Yes.
Nelson. So there's a
Eric
little history of
Sprazier.
people that you've probably never heard of and may never hear of again.
Now you were a little bit on. Were you telling me that you were at Kowalski's school at one point, Phil?
I was a little bit.
You were
And
a trainee, Phil.
I was there for a little while. In fact, Slick Wagner Brown body slammed me so hard.
Pre-breasts.
He was, he's in really good shape, and I made a note of this too.
Did April Hunter have her
April
penis
Hunter was
at that
there.
point?
Oh,
Did she have what?
Her penis at that point.
Does she have one? I don't even want to know.
Well,
Please
somewhere in there.
I said Dan, I got to show you this picture I found of
It
Slick.
was like that alien that came out of the stomach in the movie with the Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, my Lord.
I send these pictures to Dan and he'll say
Are they
something
still
very
together?
off-color.
No! No!
That was a bad
no,
ending, I heard.
No,
Oh, wow.
that ending was in the newspaper. But anyway,
Sorry about that.
I have to find this picture. It was Slick Wagner Brown in phenomenal
Slick
shape.
he loved his McDonald's cheeseburgers then, too, I'll tell you. He was eating them at the school.
she'd usually say, "No cups, Slick. No cups."
Who would say that?
April.
Jeez. Was she nice?
To me.
Okay. Well, everyone's nice to you.
She's-
Oh, well, no. I liked April. I thought she had a great mind for what wrestling should be.
Well, okay, so you're at what year were you at the school and how long were you there for?
Phil's getting grilled here on
I
No,
know.
I was
Sunday
just
Night
curious,
Live.
you know.
Let me think about this young man.
This picture right here. I sent this
2000.
I sent this to him, and then the next sentence back was, what did he say? He says, I said, came across this picture on Facebook. Then he writes, Mrs. Penis.
Who is that? Is that her?
That's April
Is
Hunter.
that
Well, that was her nickname.
Mrs. Penis.
Yeah.
is she wearing makeup?
Yeah.
Like,
I can-
oh, all right, there we go. Just the
What
light.
year do you think that picture's from? 02? 01?
Did he have blonde hair?
Yeah. They both look like they're in great shape.
Yeah.
Probably between 2000 and 2002-ish, I would
Because at
guess.
one point he was being looked at, I think by WWF.
Yeah, and the reason it, well, I don't want to get into it on the
On the air.
But I'll say the Slick does not exactly look like that anymore. He's a little bit
I saw him at November,
He's
the November
breastish.
show.
He's
He was-
breastish.
You
We're
were
not talking
obsessed. I got an
chicken.
email from you about his breasts.
About who?
Breastises?
Breastises, yes. About one
Well,
of the,
when you
Puppies?
go the route of the T-shirt,
Puppies.
they're starting to pop. You know what I mean?
so
Moobs?
you were at Kowalski's, I guess that would have been 97, 98? 99
no.
maybe?
Yeah, 99, 2000. Mike Hollow was the main trainer.
All
Walter was there.
Oh, Hollow was still there. Okay.
Yeah. Let me think. Who was that youngster who went on?
I
There
think
was.
were Walter not doing stuff in the ring? I think because by 96 or
wasn't.
7, he was out of the ring completely.
Walter would still do some demo stuff.
Okay.
You know? He was just a wonderful guy. I really liked him.
That's cool. How long were you
Yeah.
at the school for?
Oh, maybe half a year. Or so.
Now, what made you give it up, Phil?
I just,
It was a long ride.
it's
Unless you.
It was a long ride. It was a long ride, but you know, it took some. I think it was just a different perspective, and I
You
like
didn't
being a
agree
fan
with
more.
Walter?
Oh no, I love Walter. I
I
love
was
the
gonna
training,
say,
and oh no,
You were going to tell Walter.
he is great.
How
well,
it should be done.
oh, not at all. I just
Rhymes with treasury, Walter, for Christ's sakes.
he is the best, a fountain of information. Oh, I had a great experience, but geez, it wasn't
Was it
right
just-
at the time. It was.
Seeing wrestling as it wasn't for you? Or?
It's, you know what, they talk about bump cards and things like that. I could almost foresee the future thinking, you know, as the business became more bump oriented, and it's just like, you know, it's really, you're going to do 1,000 of these? It's, you know, I guess I anticipated the bump card, and I didn't want to use my bump card up.
Oh, well,
you know?
you used it for better things.
Yeah.
Or different things.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I see what's happened to, obviously, a lot of the people in the business, and, you know, concussions and just... Yeah, health is our
Keeps
greatest.
texting over there.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it's Shanice again.
Shanice.
Goddamn
French
Shanice.
niece?
The rhymes with
Shanice.
French
I
niece.
I should bring her down for this to this next Sunday. Be like, Shanice, come on down.
Well, you know what? We're going to have an extra chair, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know.
All right,
but-
wrestling
but-
fans. I'm sorry.
I was just
I'm
saying,
sorry.
as you said about the different things about the injuries and things like
Yeah.
that, I felt the same way. I felt, did I want to be a guy walking around at 45 years old with bad shoulders and a bad neck,
Right.
and people being like, Charlie, do you have any problems from wrestling? And go like, huh? You know, do the Duggan and cross-eyed.
Or say, who's Charlie?
Yeah. Did you know Phil DeCesare? Who?
Well, I think you were going in the right direction as a ref, to be honest.
You know, the thing with the refereeing thing is
When you had your spike tail, like Sting.
you know what's funny is someone said, I think it might have been you said, you have the perfect look for a referee. And I said, great. In my head, I'm like, just script, just there, not intimidating.
Now,
just
was
there.
this the first time I met you?
Yes.
Okay, well, I was
wasn't a ref-
honest.
I just did it just to do it.
No.
But I always saw myself as a wrestler, but
I got a booking for you.
yeah. But here's what happened with me. I felt like I was pretending to be a pro wrestler, as opposed to being a pro wrestler, which I feel like a lot of people I watch and they're pretending
Maybe
to
you
be
could
pro
have lived being a referee.
wrestlers. Maybe, but I could
Look
be
at
like Rod,
Vicente
I could
Ray
be,
and his breasts.
I could be like Rod-
debuting on 205 Live this week.
I could be like Rod Zapata
Yeah.
in the WWE.
Well,
You know, and do you know about Mr. Zapata?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a good gig.
Well, I'm happy about Vicente Ray and his breasts.
What's he doing now?
He competed against Tony Atlas in our last event before coronavirus, coming in from Los Angeles, California, signed a plum deal with WWE as a referee, and made his debut on 205 Live this past week.
Really?
With I do not watch 205 Live, so I can only go by the picture. He raised the arm of an African-American winner.
Do you know who that winner was?
I
Cedric
have no
Alexander?
idea. I've never seen him before.
It wasn't Carmelo Hayes.
No, I would have known him. I don't know who's on 205 Live. Are you shitting me?
Yeah. I barely know who's on NXT.
Well, I was thrilled to see him. The breasts looked like they were in mid-jiggle in the picture, but,
You know, he was excited.
well, when he counted 3, they must have been all over the place. But
They keep
I'm
taking
happy he's
swans,
down
too,
there in
but-
Orlando. He's a good human being. Even if he was unable to come away with the win over Tony Atlas at Memorial Hall.
Well, you know, Tony Atlas is Mr. USA.
He is. He'll always, that headbutt of his will always lead him to victory.
It's the power of the feet. He
It's
uses
just
the power of the feet.
It's too bad he's so thick-headed, but that's a different story for a
He
different
needs
time.
it for the feet to be on his face.
All right, wrestling fans, we had a lot of fun. Don't forget, this week ahead, God only knows what's going to happen. I guess it really is up to the weather as far as if we're going to have Quincy Rastani's Wrestling Challenge live this Thursday night at 7. We have a newcomer to the world of Boston wrestling sports from Florida. There's going to be, I don't know if you're coming down for the big interview, Charlie, on Thursday for, Saturday, to see if he is Boston wrestling material. But we may do a little something live on Saturday night. And then 1 week from tonight, we're going it rhymes with treasury, the DeCesare route, baby. Slamboree 1998 from the Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. A big tag team main event, which was odd for a pay-per-view because they love those tag team main events on Nitro. Yeah. And then, as far as the live shows, I don't think I'm going to be here the week after at all. I hopefully will pop in for at least a little bit after the WWE live event next week. And we're going to have to see what these rascals come up with for Sunday Night Live. So for John C. Manicus Riley in the booth. Again, a man that has adult-sized teeth. For Charlie Wilson, old CW himself. Some know him as Charles.
Look at those
I
pipes.
guess it
I know,
depends
right?
on what app he's
These
on.
pipe cleaners.
And for Phil DeCesare, I'm Dan Verratti. We'll see you really soon, and definitely next Sunday for Sunday Night Live. Good night.
Wrestling fans, we warned you this day would come. Unfortunately, we're running out of original episodes of Wrestling Inside His Party with Marty each and every Thursday night at 10 p.m., but we're starting up that Indiegogo. You can help the cause. You can help Marty's show continue each and every week. Nobody does it like Marty. We had an incredible time with him at our 20th anniversary bash, November 13th at Memorial Hall here in Melrose. We want to have the good times keep on rolling, but we can't do it without you. Look for the Indiegogo link in the comment section below or across our website and social media platforms. We have some great perks, great rewards where you can even meet Marty himself. There's nothing like it. Since July of 2020, every week we've brought you the show. We need your help to keep on going. We tell you, without wrestling fans, there is no professional wrestling, and there's no better time to help the cause now. Let's keep Marty rocking each and every Thursday night.